many different purposes.
Not only did it fundamentally change consumer habits, but served as a key enabler for various sectors, ranging from packaging, construction, transportation, healthcare, and electronics.
Every day, you have plastic on you. You have buttons. Your glasses are probably plastic. If you have earphones, your phone, part of your phones, plastic is something that we use every single day and is a very useful material for all of us. And what we need to deal with, though, is plastic waste, because plastic waste is not useful for anyone.
The challenge of plastics is really the challenge of waste management and how we manage the post-consumer waste that comes out of plastic.
So plastic is not a bad product. The issue is how we are handling it post-consumer. That is really basically the issue. The reason why you have all these emotions around it is because it's lying and being leaked into the environment through littering.
In 2017, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers established the PET subsector. This was done as part of the industry's commitment to solid waste management, with an aim of developing a sustainable post-consumer environmental solution for PET bottles.
The manufacturers in the PET sectors, both the people who manufacture PET and the users of PET, realized that we needed to have a unified and structured approach to dealing with PET issues. So they came together within the Kenya Association of Manufacturers as a group and decided to, how can we address this issue, both with government and the public at large, and among ourselves as well, to have a conversation between ourselves about what we could do to avoid probable future bans or challenges with the use and environmental challenges created by PET.
PET, short of polyethylene terephthalate, is a form of polyester that is shaped into plastic bottles and containers used for packaging foods and beverages, personal care products, and other consumer products. The PET subsector, since its inception, has had some major milestones.
As the PET subsector, there has been a lot of activity in terms of engagement, first of all, at government level. We've been able to sign a framework of cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and the National Environment Management Authority. Under this framework of cooperation, we are focusing on 4 areas. The first one being establishment of an extended producer responsibility scheme. And this has been done through the partnership we have set up with Petco, which is a PET recycling company.
An EPR scheme, short for Extended Producer Responsibility Scheme, is an arrangement where producers are held accountable to manage the disposal of the products they have created after they have been used by consumers. Petco is an EPR organization whose mandate is to bring together manufacturers, brand owners, and converters who are using PET as their primary packaging for their products.
So Petco was actually started in South Africa. It's been operational as a model for 14 years, very successfully. Currently in South Africa, they're doing, I think, a collection and recycling rate of about 69%.
Petco has been able to establish collection centers in different supermarkets. We have collection centers at malls like Yaya Center, Capital Center, Galleria Mall, and Two Rivers. We have collection points at Shell petrol stations, and these collection points enable consumers to be collecting their post-consumer waste and dropping it at the collection points. The target for Petco for this year was to collect 6,000 tons of waste. And as at August, they have already been able, through the manufacturers, to collect 4,000 tons of waste, and are within their targets.
However, for us, that's not the biggest win. The biggest win for us is the impact that we create in creating jobs. So if you look at us doing our 6,000 tons, then you can be able to look at the multiplier effect of that.
Recycling is an emerging business opportunity in Kenya that promises to create hundreds of jobs for the low-income areas.
Recycling is a business that pays. It may look dirty, and I know many people don't like recycling because it has that waste stigma to it. But I have seen people who are doing very well, and they are doing recycling. Personally, I wouldn't want to talk so much about myself, but I'm doing well. I mean, my kids are in school. I am paying my bills comfortably. We are happy as a family. We have like 10, 20 people who come every day to work with us. We have our own trucks. I mean, it's a business that I would want to start over and over. It's a business that has a turnover, a modest turnover, but basically there is a lot that needs to be done where recycling is concerned today. And we are very positive that with what we are doing now, things are going to get better.
The government has not been left behind in its effort to incentivize growth in the sector.
There will be no VAT for services offered to recyclers. And of course, even establishing those factories was also encouraged through reduction of corporate tax from 30% to 15%.
The second area of support within the framework of cooperation has seen CAM engaging in awareness creation, where the consumer is brought on board in the process of collection and recycling of waste. This has led to partnerships with the Wildlife Club of Kenya and Dandora Hip Hop City.
With the Wildlife Clubs of Kenya, we have signed a memorandum of understanding to raise awareness within 19 schools, and we are planning to reach about 22,000 students through this awareness. The awareness is really to give them information on issues around waste collection, recycling, and their responsibilities, so that as they grow up, they are able to participate positively in society and ensure that we have a clean society.
Dandora Hip Hop City was created 5 years ago to create a safe space for youth to grow and express themselves through music.
Our partnership with CAM was based on from a big brother kind of basis, where it means that as Dandora Hip Hop City, we were using music as a tool for social change, and we will easily reach the masses through our talent and our stage that we have. So CAM had a message, and that is how people dispose, how we complete the cycle of post-consumption.
Sisi wanawake tunafaa kuwa mamaid unless nijulikane ndo nipatiwe kazi ama nikuwe relative mkubwa fulani.
With Dandora Hip Hop City, we have signed an MOU to provide opportunities to raise awareness and have platforms for collaboration with the youth taking part in cleanup activities. There is also a mobile application that has been put in place. The application is supposed to be utilized to help in collection of waste within the Dandora area. So this initiative with Dandora Hip Hop City has been taken very positively and has led to a lot of positive collaboration with artists, with the youth within Dandora, and it's something we are looking at duplicating in other areas within the country.
The group has set up and is successfully running Customer Bora, a digital application that rewards consumers for collecting and properly disposing their waste.
Customer Bora is we are utilizing technology and community organizing to make sure that the trash end up in the right hands. We set up a Taka Bank, the youth group manage a Taka Bank. Basically, we brand a kiosk with the Taka Bank. The community knows where they can come and deposit their trash. Once the community deposits, it converts into points, then they use the points to buy things on our website, customerbora.co.ke. At the same time, that collection, we get to send it to the right hands, which is recyclers.
The youth have been able to collect 300 kgs of PET trash in just 6 months. Other innovations have also sprung up that seek to put good use of recycled PET.
What we do is convert this plastic bottle into this t-shirt. how we go from the bottle to the T-shirt is a fully mechanical process. So it's using heat and pressure. The first step is a 6-stage purifying process where we purify the plastic, clean it, and flake it into small pieces. And then we dehumidify the flake and melt it and extrude it into a fiber, which will then be spun into a thread and either knitting or weaving into a textile and eventually be stitched into a garment.
Mehul Shah, the founder of Ultra Red Technologies, a prototyping company, uses recycled PET to print 3D plastic products used as spare parts and any other objects desired.
So once the PET subsector was formed last year, one of the things we realized is that the issues around PET don't just affect PET, they affect all other plastics. We realized that we need to approach the whole plastics waste management issue holistically so that all of the plastics can be considered. Within KAM, we created a secretariat or a basis, a steering committee that was going to try and bring together all stakeholders, both users, environmentalists, consumers, to try and come together and create a policy statement or a policy document, which we think will help us create a better environment for us and the use of plastics.
KAM's Kenya Plastic Action Plan provides an opportunity for the private sector to establish a collective position and propose solutions for plastic pollution.
The Kenya Plastics Action Plan actually provides a consolidated solution, not just for PET, but for all plastics. So why we are part of this process is because we believe that if we bring a solution for all plastics, it's better than just for PET. And we found that a lot of manufacturers, our own industry players, consumers, are more geared to something more consolidated as opposed to something fractured.
So the action plan is the private sector proposal that we are going to be giving to the government and saying, this is how we think we can address these issues. And these are the steps we'd like the government to take. And these are the steps we as private sector, manufacturers, users, would want to take so that we can achieve the same goals.
But despite the collaborative effort of the manufacturing industry, government and other stakeholders, challenges still abound.
Okay. The challenges exist even as we try and implement what we have as Kenya Association of Manufacturers. They exist, first of all, at a policy level, ensuring that we have a policy in place that encourages the issue of recycling collection. We also have challenges in terms of the infrastructure, because to be able to carry out the activities, it requires that we have the infrastructure both at national and county level. So that disconnect does lead to the inability to fully engage on issues of waste management around PET. We also have different players across the value chain playing different parts, whether it is the manufacturers, the users, the recyclers, and the lack of coordination in terms of the efforts has also been a challenge. So we are coming in as Kenya Association of Manufacturers to see how we can coordinate those efforts across the value chain.
Plastic waste management is a problem that needs all key players involved to take an active role, from the manufacturers to the consumers.
So I think for the common mwananchi, one of the main things we really need to do is waste disposal. Let's just be careful about where we put out our waste and take Kenya as our home. In our houses, we don't throw rubbish everywhere. We take it to the designated place where it should be. And if possible, you can segregate, because plastic has value on its own and can be used elsewhere. Organic waste can be used elsewhere. It can be recycled as well and be used as organic manure, etc. So if we segregate our waste, it would really help us.
So we urge mwananchi and all Kenyans to assist us in this noble initiative by collecting any of their PET waste and depositing it at the different collection centers to enable us recycle the waste and remove the waste from the environment.
When we are able to recycle right, the gold that is plastic will continue to serve us for hundreds of years to come and still preserve the environment for future generations. When plastic was created, it was meant to solve the problems the world had at the time. Plastic was effective so much that it revolutionized the world.
Just about 100 years ago is when plastic started being formed and used. And there's a great discussion series on the BBC called 50 Things That Changed the World. And one of them is plastic. Because what plastic was able to do for industry, for consumers, has not been achieved before. It is, one, very light, very malleable, and there are very many fractions of it that can be used for so many different purposes.
Not only did it fundamentally change consumer habits, but served as a key enabler for various sectors, ranging from packaging, construction, transportation, healthcare, and electronics.
Every day, you have plastic on you. You have buttons. Your glasses are probably plastic. If you have earphones, your phone, part of your phones, plastic is something that we use every single day and is a very useful material for all of us. And what we need to deal with, though, is plastic waste, because plastic waste is not useful for anyone.
The challenge of plastics is really the challenge of waste management and how we manage the post-consumer waste that comes out of plastic.
So plastic is not a bad product. The issue is how we are handling it post-consumer. That is really basically the issue. The reason why you have all these emotions around it is because it's lying and being leaked into the environment through littering.
In 2017, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers established the PET subsector. This was done as part of the industry's commitment to solid waste management, with an aim of developing a sustainable post-consumer environmental solution for PET bottles.
The manufacturers in the PET sectors, both the people who manufacture PET and the users of PET, realized that we needed to have a unified and structured approach to dealing with PET issues. So they came together within the Kenya Association of Manufacturers as a group and decided to how can we address these issues, both with government and the public at large, and among ourselves as well, to have a conversation between ourselves about what we could do to avoid probable future bans or challenges with the use and environmental challenges created by PET.
PET, short of polyethylene terephthalate, is a form of polyester that is shaped into plastic bottles and containers used for packaging foods and beverages, personal care products, and other consumer products. The PET subsector, since its inception, has had some major milestones.
As the PET subsector, there has been a lot of activity in terms of engagement, first of all, at government level. We've been able to sign a framework of cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and the National Environment Management Authority. Under this framework of cooperation, we are focusing on 4 areas. The first one being establishment of an extended producer responsibility scheme. And this has been done through the partnership we have set up with Petco, which is a PET recycling company.
An EPR scheme, short for Extended Producer Responsibility Scheme, is an arrangement where producers are held accountable to manage the disposal of the products they have created after they have been used by consumers. Petco is an EPR organization whose mandate is to bring together manufacturers, brand owners, and converters who are using PET as their primary packaging for their products.
So Petco was actually started in South Africa. It's been operational as a model for 14 years, very successfully. Currently in South Africa, they're doing, I think, a collection and recycling rate of about 69%.
Petco has been able to establish collection centers in different supermarkets. We have collection centers at malls like Yaya Center, Capital Center, Galleria Mall, and Two Rivers. We have collection points at Shell petrol stations, and these collection points enable consumers to be collecting their post-consumer waste and dropping it at the collection points. The target for Petco for this year was to collect 6,000 tons of waste. And as at August, they have already been able, through the manufacturers, to collect 4,000 tons of waste, and are within their targets.
However, for us, that's not the biggest win. The biggest win for us is the impact that we create in creating jobs. So if you look at us doing our 6,000 tons, then you can be able to look at the multiplier effect of that.
Recycling is an emerging business opportunity in Kenya that promises to create hundreds of jobs for the low-income areas.
Recycling is a business that pays. It may look dirty, and I know many people don't like recycling because it has that waste stigma to it. But I have seen people who are doing very well, and they are doing recycling. Personally, I wouldn't want to talk so much about myself, but I'm doing well. I mean, my kids are in school. I am paying my bills comfortably. We are happy as a family. We have like 10, 20 people who come every day to work with us. We have our own trucks. I mean, it's a business that I would want to start over and over. It's a business that has a turnover, a modest turnover, but basically there is a lot that needs to be done where recycling is concerned today. And we are very positive that with what we are doing now, things are going to get better.
The government has not been left behind in its effort to incentivize growth in the sector.
There will be no VAT for services offered to recyclers. And of course, even establishing those factories was also encouraged through reduction of corporate tax from 30% to 15%.
The second area of support within the framework of cooperation has seen CAM engaging in awareness creation, where the consumer is brought on board in the process of collection and recycling of waste. This has led to partnerships with the Wildlife Club of Kenya and Dandora Hip Hop City.
With the Wildlife Clubs of Kenya, we have signed a memorandum of understanding to raise awareness within 19 schools, and we are planning to reach about 22,000 students through this awareness. The awareness is really to give them information on issues around waste collection, recycling, and their responsibilities, so that as they grow up, they are able to participate positively in society and ensure that we have a clean society.
Dandora Hip Hop City was created 5 years ago to create a safe space for youth to grow and express themselves through music.
Who's laughing now? Exponential potential. Our partnership with CAM was based on from a big brother kind of basis, where it means that as Dandora Hip Hop City, we were using music as a tool for social change, and we will easily reach the masses through our talent and our stage that we have. So CAM had a message, and that is how people dispose, how we complete the cycle of post-consumption.
Sisi wanawake tunafaa kuwa mamaid unless nijulikane ndo nipatiwe kazi ama nikuwe relative mkubwa fulani.
With Dandora Hip Hop City, we have signed an MOU to provide opportunities to raise awareness and have platforms for collaboration with the youth taking part in cleanup activities. There's also a mobile application that has been put in place. The application is supposed to be utilized to help in collection of waste within the Dandora area. So this initiative with Dandora Hip Hop City has been taken very positively and has led to a lot of positive collaboration with artists, with the youth within Dandora, and it's something we are looking at duplicating in other areas within the country.
The group has set up and is successfully running Customer Bora, a digital application that rewards consumers for collecting and properly disposing their waste.
Customer Bora is we are utilizing technology and community organizing to make sure that the trash end up in the right hands. We set up a Taka Bank, the youth group manage a Taka Bank. Basically, we brand a kiosk with a Taka Bank, the community knows where they can come and deposit their trash. Once the community deposits, it converts into points, then they use the points to buy things on our website, customerborder.co.ke. At the same time, that collection, we get to send it to the right hands, which is recyclers.
The youth have been able to collect 300 kgs of PET trash in just 6 months. Other innovations have also sprung up that seek to put good use of recycled PET.
What we do is convert this plastic bottle into this t-shirt. How we go from the bottle to the t-shirt is a fully mechanical process. So it's using heat and pressure. The first step is a 6-stage purifying process where we purify the plastic, clean it, and flake it into small pieces. And then we dehumidify the flake and melt it and extrude it into a fiber, which will then be spun into a thread and either knitting or weaving into a textile and eventually be stitched into a garment.
Mehul Shah, the founder of Ultra Red Technologies, a prototyping company, uses recycled PET to print 3D plastic products used as spare parts and any other objects desired.
So once the PET subsector was formed last year, one of the things we realized is that the issues around PET don't just affect PET, they affect all other plastics. We realized that we need to approach the whole plastics waste management issue holistically so that all of the plastics can be considered. Within KAM, we created a secretariat or a basis, a steering committee that was going to try and bring together all stakeholders, both users, environmentalists, consumers, to try and come together and create a policy statement or a policy document, which we think will help us create a better environment for us and the use of plastics.
KAM's Kenya Plastic Action Plan provides an opportunity for the private sector to establish a collective position and propose solutions for plastic pollution.
The Kenya Plastics Action Plan actually provides a consolidated solution, not just for PET, but for all plastics. So why we are part of this process is because we believe that if we bring a solution for all plastics, it's better than just for PET. And we found that a lot of manufacturers, our own industry players, consumers, are more geared to something more consolidated as opposed to something fractured.
So the action plan is the private sector proposal that we are going to be giving to the government and saying, this is how we think we can address these issues. And these are the steps we'd like the government to take. And these are the steps we as private sector, manufacturers, users, would want to take so that we can achieve the same goals.
But despite the collaborative effort of the manufacturing industry, government and other stakeholders, challenges still abound.
Okay. The challenges exist even as we try and implement what we have as Kenya Association of Manufacturers. They exist, first of all, at a policy level, ensuring that we have a policy in place that encourages the issue of recycling collection. We also have challenges in terms of the infrastructure, because to be able to carry out the activities, it requires that we have the infrastructure both at national and county level. So that disconnect does lead to the inability to fully engage on issues of waste management around PET. We also have different players across the value chain playing different parts, whether it is the manufacturers, the users, the recyclers, and the lack of coordination in terms of the efforts has also been a challenge. So we are coming in as Kenya Association of Manufacturers to see how we can coordinate those efforts across the value chain.
Plastic waste management is a problem that needs all key players involved to take an active role, from the manufacturers to the consumers.
So I think for the common mwananchi, one of the main things we really need to do is waste disposal. Let's just be careful about where we put out our waste and take Kenya as our home. In our houses, we don't throw rubbish everywhere. We take it to the designated place where it should be. And if possible, you can segregate, because plastic has value on its own and it can be used elsewhere. Organic waste can be used elsewhere. It can be recycled as well and be used as organic manure, etc. So if we segregate our waste, it would really help us.
So we urge Mwananchi and all Kenyans to assist us in this noble initiative by collecting any of their PET waste and depositing it at the different collection centers to enable us recycle the waste and remove the waste from the environment.
When we are able to recycle right, the gold that is plastic will continue to serve us for hundreds of years to come and still preserve the environment for future generations. When plastic was created, it was meant to solve the problems the world had at the time. Plastic was effective so much that it revolutionized the world.
Just about 100 years ago is when plastic started being formed and used. And there's a great discussion series on the BBC called 50 Things That Changed the World. And one of them is plastic. Because what plastic was able to do for industry, for consumers, has not been achieved before. It is, one, very light, very malleable, and there are very many fractions of it that can be used for so many different purposes.
Not only did it fundamentally change consumer habits, but served as a key enabler for various sectors, ranging from packaging, construction, transportation, healthcare, and electronics.
Every day, you have plastic on you. You have buttons. Your glasses are probably plastic. If you have earphones, your phone, part of your phones, plastic is something that we use every single day and is a very useful material for all of us. And what we need to deal with, though, is plastic waste, because plastic waste is not useful for anyone.
The challenge of plastics is really the challenge of waste management and how we manage the post-consumer waste that comes out of plastic.
So plastic is not a bad product. The issue is how we are handling it post-consumer. That is really basically the issue. The reason why you have all these emotions around it is because it's lying and being leaked into the environment through littering.
In 2017, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers established the PET subsector. This was done as part of the industry's commitment to solid waste management, with an aim of developing a sustainable post-consumer environmental solution for PET bottles.
The manufacturers in the PET sectors, both the people who manufacture PET and the users of PET, realized that we needed to have a unified and structured approach to dealing with PET issues. So they came together within the Kenya Association of Manufacturers as a group and decided to how can we address these issues, both with government and the public at large, and among ourselves as well, to have a conversation between ourselves about what we could do to avoid probable future bans or challenges with the use and environmental challenges created by PET.
PET, short of polyethylene terephthalate, is a form of polyester that is shaped into plastic bottles and containers used for packaging foods and beverages, personal care products, and other consumer products. The PET subsector, since its inception, has had some major milestones.
As the PET subsector, there has been a lot of activity in terms of engagement, first of all, at government level. We've been able to sign a framework of cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and the National Environment Management Authority. Under this framework of cooperation, we are focusing on 4 areas. The first one being establishment of an extended producer responsibility scheme And this has been done through the partnership we have set up with Petco, which is a PET recycling company.
An EPR scheme, short for Extended Producer Responsibility Scheme, is an arrangement where producers are held accountable to manage the disposal of the products they have created after they have been used by consumers. Petco is an EPR organization whose mandate is to bring together manufacturers, brand owners, and converters who are using PET as their primary packaging for their products.
So Petco was actually started in South Africa. It's been operational as a model for 14 years, very successfully. Currently in South Africa, they're doing, I think, a collection and recycling rate of about 69%.
Petco has been able to establish collection centers in different supermarkets. We have collection centers at malls like Yaya Center, Capital Center, Galleria Mall, and Two Rivers. We have collection points at Shell petrol stations, and these collection points enable consumers to be collecting their post-consumer waste and dropping it at the collection points. The target for Petco for this year was to collect 6,000 tons of waste. And as at August, they have already been able, through the manufacturers, to collect 4,000 tons of waste and are within their targets.
However, for us, that's not the biggest win. The biggest win for us is the impact that we create in creating jobs. So if you look at us doing our 6,000 tons, then you can be able to look at the multiplier effect of that.
Recycling is an emerging business opportunity in Kenya that promises to create hundreds of jobs for the low-income areas.
Recycling is a business that pays. It may look dirty, and I know many people don't like recycling because it has that waste stigma to it. But I have seen people who are doing very well, and they are doing recycling. Personally, I wouldn't want to talk so much about myself, but I'm doing well. I mean, my kids are in school. I am paying my bills comfortably. We are happy as a family. We have like 10, 20 people who come every day to work with us. We have our own trucks. I mean, it's a business that I would want to start over and over. It's a business that has a turnover, a modest turnover. But basically, there is a lot that needs to be done where recycling is concerned today. And we are very positive that with what we are doing now, things are going to get better.
The government has not been left behind in its effort to incentivize growth in the sector.
There will be no VAT for services offered to recyclers. And of course, even establishing those factories was also encouraged through reduction of corporate tax from 30% to 15%.
The second area of support within the framework of cooperation has seen CAM engaging in awareness creation, where the consumer is brought on board in the process of collection and recycling of waste. This has led to partnerships with the Wildlife Club of Kenya and Dandora Hip Hop City.
With the Wildlife Clubs of Kenya, we have signed a memorandum of understanding to raise awareness within 19 schools, and we are planning to reach about 22,000 students through this awareness. The awareness is really to give them information on issues around waste collection, recycling, and their responsibilities, so that as they grow up, they are able to participate positively in society and ensure that we have a clean society.
Dandora Hip Hop City was created 5 years ago to create a safe space for youth to grow and express themselves through music.
Who's laughing now? Exponential potential. Our partnership with CAM was based on from a big brother kind of basis, where it means that as Dandora Hip Hop City, we were using music as a tool for social change, and we will easily reach the masses through our talent and our stage that we have. So CAM had a message, and that is how people dispose, how we complete the cycle of post-consumption.
Sisi wanawake tunafaa kuwa mamaid unless nijulikane ndo nipatiwe kazi ama nikuwe relative mkubwa fulani.
With Dandora Hip Hop City, we have signed an MOU to provide opportunities to raise awareness and have platforms for collaboration with the youth taking part in cleanup activities. There is also a mobile application that has been put in place. The application is supposed to be utilized to help in collection of waste within the Dandora area. So this initiative with Dandora Hip Hop City has been taken very positively and has led to a lot of positive collaboration with artists, with the youth within Dandora, and is something we are looking at duplicating in other areas within the country.
The group has set up and is successfully running Customer Bora, a digital application that rewards consumers for collecting and properly disposing their waste.
Customer Bora is just, we're just linking, we are utilizing technology and community organizing to make sure that the trash end up in the right hands. We set up a Taka Bank, the youth group manage a Taka Bank. Basically, we brand a kiosk with a Taka Bank. The community knows where they can come and deposit their trash. Once the community deposits, it converts into points. Then they use the points to buy things on our website, customerbora.co.ke. At the same time, that collection, we get to send it to the right hands, which is recyclers.
The youth have been able to collect 300 kgs of PET trash in just 6 months. Other innovations have also sprung up that seek to put good use of recycled PET.
What we do is convert this plastic bottle into this t-shirt. How we go from the bottle to the t-shirt is a fully mechanical process. So it's using heat and pressure. The first step is a 6-stage purifying process where we purify the plastic, clean it, and flake it into small pieces. And then we dehumidify the flake and melt it and extrude it into a fiber, which will then be spun into a thread and either knitting or weaving into a textile and eventually be stitched into a garment.
Mehul Shah, the founder of Ultra Red Technologies, a prototyping company, uses recycled PET to print 3D plastic products used as spare parts and any other objects desired.
So once the PET subsector was formed last year, one of the things we realized is that the issues around PET don't just affect PET, they affect all other plastics. We realized that we need to approach the whole plastics waste management issue holistically so that all of the plastics can be considered. Within KAM, we created a secretariat or a BICIS, a steering committee that was going to try and bring together all stakeholders, both users, environmentalists, consumers, to try and come together and create a policy statement or a policy document, which we think will help us create a better environment for us and the use of plastics.
KAM's Kenya Plastic Action Plan provides an opportunity for the private sector to establish a collective position and propose solutions for plastic pollution.
The Kenya Plastics Action Plan actually provides a consolidated solution, not just for PET, but for all plastics. So why we are part of this process is because we believe that if we bring a solution for all plastics, it's better than just for PET. And we found that a lot of manufacturers, our own industry players, consumers, are more geared to something more consolidated as opposed to something fractured.
So the action plan is the private sector proposal that we are going to be giving to the government and saying, this is how we think we can address these issues. And these are the steps we'd like the government to take. And these are the steps we as private sector, manufacturers, users, would want to take so that we can achieve the same goals.
But despite the collaborative effort of the manufacturing industry, government and other stakeholders, challenges still abound.
Okay. The challenges exist even as we try and implement what we have as Kenya Association of Manufacturers. They exist, first of all, at a policy level, ensuring that we have a policy in place that encourages the issue of recycling collection. We also have challenges in terms of the infrastructure, because to be able to carry out the activities, it requires that we have the infrastructure both at national and county level. So that disconnect does lead to the inability to fully engage on issues of waste management around PET. We also have different players across the value chain playing different parts, whether it is the manufacturers, the users, the recyclers, and the lack of coordination in terms of the efforts has also been a challenge. So we are coming in as Kenya Association of Manufacturers to see how we can coordinate those efforts across the value chain.
Plastic waste management is a problem that needs all key players involved to take an active role, from the manufacturers to the consumers.
So I think for the common mwananchi, one of the main things we really need to do is waste disposal. Let's just be careful about where we put out our waste and take Kenya as our home. In our houses, we don't throw rubbish everywhere. We take it to the designated place where it should be. And if possible, you can segregate, because plastic has value on its own and it can be used elsewhere. Organic waste can be used elsewhere. It can be recycled as well and be used as organic manure, etc. So if we segregate our waste, it would really help us.
So we urge mwananchi and all Kenyans to assist us in this noble initiative by collecting any of their PET waste and depositing it at the different collection centers to enable us recycle the waste and remove the waste from the environment.
When we are able to recycle right, the gold that is plastic will continue to serve us for hundreds of years to come and still preserve the environment for future generations. When plastic was created, it was meant to solve the problems the world had at the time. Plastic was effective so much that it revolutionized the world.
Just about 100 years ago is when plastic started being formed and used. And there's a great discussion series on the BBC called 50 Things That Changed the World. And one of them is plastic. Because what plastic was able to do for industry, for consumers, has not been achieved before. It is, one, very light, very malleable, and there are very many fractions of it that can be used for so many different purposes.
Not only did it fundamentally change consumer habits, but served as a key enabler for various sectors, ranging from packaging, construction, transportation, healthcare, and electronics.
Every day, you have plastic on you. You have buttons. Your glasses are probably plastic. If you have earphones, your phone, part of your phones, plastic is something that we use every single day and is a very useful material for all of us. And what we need to deal with, though, is plastic waste, because plastic waste is not useful for anyone.
The challenge of plastics is really the challenge of waste management and how we manage the post-consumer waste that comes out of plastic.
So plastic is not a bad product. The issue is how we are handling it post-consumer. That is really basically the issue. The reason why you have all these emotions around it is because it's lying and being leaked into the environment through littering.
In 2017, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers established the PET subsector. This was done as part of the industry's commitment to solid waste management, with an aim of developing a sustainable post-consumer environmental solution for PET bottles.
The manufacturers in the PET sectors, both the people who manufacture PET and the users of PET, realized that we needed to have a unified and structured approach to dealing with PET issues. So they came together within the Kenya Association of Manufacturers as a group and decided to how can we address these issues, both with government and the public at large, and among ourselves as well, to have a conversation between ourselves about what we could do to avoid probable future bans or challenges with the youth and environmental challenges.
Responsibility organization. And finally, today, they are also part of the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility organization launch. So to kickstart the day, I'd like to invite the CEO of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Phyllis Okiaga, to give her remarks. Phyllis, welcome. A round of applause for Phyllis. So you'll switch on the mic here.
Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Not because I'm shouting, but because of my mic. Mic's low. But still we can hear you. Can you imagine? Yes, I'm very loud. So how does the mic work?
At the bottom, please. You have a button.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can hear you.
Sunny says, but Sunny says that one.
This one has a, okay, it's working. Someone did something. Thank you very much.
Switch off that.
Is that better? Great. Thank you very much. So first of all, I have a confession to make. I'm very excited to be here today for the very reason that we are amongst friends, and also because it's really a privilege nowadays to be together because of what's happening with COVID. So when we are together, first, it means we're healthy. And secondly, it means that the government has allowed us to have this small gathering. So that's a great thing. I'm also excited because I think this is the third time we've tried to launch Kepro, and because of COVID and different things, we've had to keep pushing the launch. So for me, it's really a pleasure and a privilege to be here this morning with all of you as we embark on this very important step in this Kepro journey. So I'll start by also appreciating and recognizing everyone who has joined us. Everyone here is a dignitary, but we have two key dignitaries. Our chief guest and a great friend of mine, P.S. Kepro, who is the Principal Secretary for Environment and Forestry. We also have another friend of mine, the PS Industry, Ambassador Peter Kaberia. Thank you so much for joining us. We have with us the representative of the Trade Committee of the COG, that is normally chaired by Governor Charity Ngilu. So we are privileged to have the Deputy Governor from Kitui County joining us here today. Asante sana, thank you for coming. And then we have my chair and my good friend, Mr. Mushai Kunyiha, also Rajan, who is our vice chair. Thank you so much for joining us today. We also have the representative of the NEMA Director General with us here today. We have with us the Kepro chair and his board. Ian and your team, maybe they can wave so that we see all of them, because I won't be able to call the entire board. Yes, we have the full Kepro board here with us today. We also have the Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers represented here. Thank you so much for joining us. Takataka Solutions, I know, is in the room also. All our members, the rest of us are not here physically in the room because of the restrictions, but I know you're joining us online. So all the Kenya Association of Manufacturers members, all the Kepro members who have joined this session through the online platforms, we thank you for being with us. So Martha Bishop, who's an author in economics, once said that an economy that puts back what it takes out is sustainable by design. And for us at CAM, the circular economy is a key focus, and we want to ensure the sustainability and competitiveness of the local manufacturing sector, so that as we create jobs, we are also concerned about our environment. And for that reason, it's become very necessary for industries to concentrate on the destination of their products and also find avenues to provide resources for continuous production. Additionally, industrialists have become very conscious of the effects of their products to the immediate environment and to the future ecosystem, and we are all working to embrace a circular economy. And on the other hand, the consumer, who is me and you, are also demanding more from the producers on matters sustainability and circular economy. And as representatives of the manufacturing sector in Kenya, we acknowledge our role in driving Kenya's green economy. And that's why we're here today. We are here to continue to champion for the adoption of critical tenets of sustainable development and green growth towards actualizing a circular economy for Kenya. And having realized the importance of doing green business, and we didn't just realize it, I think we've been doing for a number of years, CAM has been doing a number of things. One of them is lowering energy consumption and improving efficiency. I think that's one thing. For the last 15 years, we've been the Center for Green Growth, the Center for Energy Efficiency, which has now grown into the incorporating also green growth and climate change. We're also keen about adhering environmental laws, regulations, and best practice. We are also very keen about purchasing green equipment, products, and services. We also champion for environmental, social, and economic sustainability, which ensures that we are meeting the needs of business while preserving resources for future generations. At CAM, we want to reduce manufacturers' carbon footprint and also eliminate waste and drive the industry towards using sustainable material. So that's who we are as an association. So ladies and gentlemen, taking the best examples from the world into consideration and also building on existing value chains and pioneering actors within the country. Based on the commitments we made in the Kenya Plastics Action Plan, Kenya Association of Manufacturers has established the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization, Kepro. So Kepro is basically an extended producer responsibility initiative that brings together players in the waste value chain to ensure that we address post-consumer waste in Kenya. The organization's mission, and you'll be hearing more from the rest of the Kepro team, is to promote collaboration, to seek a commitment by the waste value chain players, and to support the achievement of a circular economy in Kenya. So that for us is a critical step, PSs, towards achieving sustainability for local manufacturers, and is really the only way forward if we are going to be able to grow a sustainable and competitive manufacturing sector, as is our vision as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. So as I said at the beginning, we're excited to having you here. We really look forward to finally launching Kepro, and look forward to engaging you all as we partner together for a better society. Asante. And I've seen Dr. Ayub come into the room. Karibu sana, and thank you for your support. Over to you, Ondiro. Thanks.
Just a minute. The hashtag that we're using today is striving for sustainability, and already tweets are coming in. So one person is asking here, what opportunities lie therein for youth and women?
Wow, I think this sector is one of the sectors with a lot of opportunities for youth and women. If we are looking at post-consumer waste, this waste can be a resource for further production. There's a big opportunity in terms of the collection of the waste, in terms of recycling the waste, in terms of making products. So a big opportunity for both women and youth. The Kepro team has a lot of information, and I know as they speak, they'll even be sharing examples of some of the things we already have the youth doing and the women doing within this initiative.
Phyllis, thank you.
You're welcome, thanks.
A round of applause for Phyllis as she leaves the stage, please. Moving on, we'd like to invite Priyan Tana on stage. But before we do that, Kepro will kickstart an entire industry that will accelerate conversion of waste and integrate it into a circular economy. However, to be able to do this, we need incentives, we need subsidies, we need government goodwill, we need good policies. And Priyan will be coming on stage to talk to us about the Voluntary Producer Responsibility Organization in Kenya, its achievement, its roadmap, and how they intend to take every single thing that Phyllis has promised that they will do up here. Priyan. A round of applause, please. We've had
Morning, everyone. Phyllis said it's taken us almost 9 months. I feel we delivered 83 times and had a couple of false alarms along the way. But thank you, everyone, for being here. It's been a pleasure. Yes.
Let's try. Third time is the last
Test. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Okay. So good morning, everyone, again. Dr. Kepto, wonderful to see you here today. PS Industry, Moshai, Phyllis, Dr. Catherine from NEMA, Deputy Governor from Kitui, Dr. Ayub Macharia, fellow guests, and everybody online, welcome. Today I'll be talking to you about Kepro. I can't see my screen here. Sorry.
That's there. Oh, you can see there.
So Kepro, Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization. Next slide. So as we start this journey, I'd like to give a bit of a perspective on the waste problem in Kenya. When we look at just Nairobi, and we look at the 3,000 tons of waste that we have, what happens to it? What's the journey it takes? As Kenyans in Nairobi, we consume 0.5 kilos per capita. We generate 0.5 kilos per capita of waste per day. And this waste follows this journey. It takes 70% of it is collected. The other 30% ends up on our roads, streets, rivers. And the 70% that is collected, 20%, only 20% is recycled. The other 50% ends up back in landfill. This is the problem we face today. Then there's a small portion where we have an informal sector that picks up this waste and brings it back into the recycling economy. This is the picture we need to change. When we expand this outside of just Nairobi, the picture gets worse. The 3,000 tons of waste for Kenya is 20,000 tons per day. To put that into perspective, that's 2,000 trucks. And if we line up 2,000 trucks of waste, that's a line of trucks from Kikuyu all the way to Mawongo every single day. And I think that's something we need to keep at the back of our head as we move down this journey. So when we look at the breakup of that waste, we're looking at 66% of it being organics, 12% being paper, and for Kepro, what's important to us is the plastic portion, 9.5%. So although it's a small portion, it's a very critical portion, and globally and locally. The problems that plastic pose to the economy and the environment, and this is what Kepro is stepping in to address. So when we look at the global perspective, we move from local Nairobi to Kenya, and now we're looking globally. The problem is only going to get worse for us. How? When you look at Kenya, and this is now specifically plastics only, 0.03 kilos per day of waste that we produce. When you look at industrialized nations, you're looking at 0.3, 10 times what Kenya does. This is a journey as we industrialize and move. We're going to be heading down this path of producing more and more waste. Industrialized countries have policies in place. Kenya is developing them. Industrialized countries have best practices in place. Kenya does not. Again, we are developing them. Industrialized countries have R&D. We are moving along that path also. When you look at the recycling rate globally, on average, we're looking at about 30%. Kenya, we still don't even know what that is because we're not able to collect the data efficiently and effectively to report those figures. But numbers that we're looking at right now suggest that we're at about 10%. So we have a long way to go. And I think as we work together, we will definitely achieve targets. How do we get there? So today, as we all know, we are a very linear economy. We take, we make, we use, and we dispose. We need to move more towards a recycling economy, one where we're recycling what we throw out. And the utopian world, at the end of it, is a circular economy. How do we get there? We must look at segregation. Very critical as we talk to our partners in the journey we've taken. Throwing waste and contaminating it degenerates its value immediately. So segregation is very, very important. We need to look at logistics, the movement of this waste from post-consumer, avoiding the landfills and getting back to the recyclers, licensing, regulatory framework. We're very happy to note that the ministry has made great strides in this field, and we're very happy to see the regulations hopefully very soon come out. Product design for recyclability, secondary markets. Kenya today does not have secondary markets for its recycled product. We need to keep growing this market. Keep it here, don't export it. And very importantly, our children, our youth, awareness and education. Start young, start now, grow the future. Apologies for this. Can we move back? Maybe I'll just ask you to index. Sorry, move forward. One more. That's good. Okay. So how do we get to this world of circular economy? Globally, 20 years ago, as we can see through this map, Europe started the journey of what we now call EPRs and PROs. This is what we are today, Kepro. And today, sorry, index one more, please. Today, sorry, backwards, I can't see this. Oh, it's blanked out. Wonderful. Okay. The other map is blanked out, but when we look at the other map on the right-hand side, you can see a global trend towards EPRs and PROs. Kenya this year has launched Kepro. I think Petco was launched a few years ago, which is wonderful. We're following your fine footsteps there. Next slide. How did we get here? So the journey started for us as Kepro in 2018. We embarked on a trip to Denmark. Moshai, I remember a conversation we had in Denmark after seeing a lot of the innovative products we saw on the ground there. I recall the football fields, being converted back into, AstroTurf. Very innovative products. There was a big team of us that went. Joyce, you were there with us. Fantastic. And that was a conversation that then started into a journey being action. And we moved forward. We developed what's called the Kenya Plastics Action Plan. There's a copy of it outside for everyone. We developed a business plan thereafter. And today, well, last October, we launched Kepro. We've been on the ground for the last 8 months, and we're trucking along. Next slide. Who are we? What do we do? We're an initiative bringing together players in the waste value chain to address post-consumer waste. Our mission is to foster a platform for players from production to recycling towards a zero waste concept for a circular economy in Kenya. Our aim is to increase awareness and protect Kenya's natural environment from zero waste and pollution. And how are we doing this? We're doing this by providing incentives and subsidies to improve the growth, efficiency, viability, and collection and sorting of waste in the sector. Next slide. Our core values, as Phyllis highlighted very quickly: collaboration, circularity, and commitment. When we talk about collaboration, we do everything for the environment. True partnerships and transparency within the public and private sector. Circularity, our true north is a circular economy. Developing the circular economy in Kenya by supporting the recycling economy. When we talk about commitment, we put the environment first. All strategies, policies, and actions are put towards sustainability in the environment first. Next slide. So how are we doing this? A lot of detail, but just wanted to show you that we have, this is our roadmap. This is our 10-year journey. It outlines a lot of our goals from now to 2030 and how we plan to get there, and the specific strategies to get us there. What have we accomplished so far? Next slide. Kepro is organized into 4 main categories. The first one being admin and treasury. The second one being what we call G for G, gram for gram. The third one is PR and comms and membership. So when we talk about membership, we have, when we talk about admin, we've officially registered Kepro. We've hired a few staff. We've put in a lot of governance policies in place, budgets. We're trying to basically put the foundation in place for the organization. G for G, which is what we call gram for gram. We've onboarded a number of recyclers. Vince Plastics is here with us. There's a couple more. Don't see them in the room. We've done a lot of cleanup activities on the ground. Next slide. From a membership perspective, we have 200 members on board with us now, and our membership has grown by 60% since April. From a communication perspective, there's a lot of social media activities that are out there now. We've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, a lot of activity every week being posted. We've got brochures and frequently asked questions, websites. Everything's up and running now. Where are we going? Next slide. So our journey continues, and what we plan on doing is to continue growing our membership base. We want to diversify beyond just the bread that we're looking at right now. We want to move more into rigids and flexibles. From a PR and comms perspective, continue to focus on awareness, education, and changing the culture and awareness behind waste management. From an administration perspective, we're going to continue to grow the governance, the various policies and structures to make it a strong foundation going forward. And with G for G, gram for gram, continue to support community-based sectors, continue to grow the recycle rates that we have currently at 9%. We want to get those up to about 20%. That's our target in the next year and a half. Once you become a member, next slide. Once you become a member of Kepro, what do you get? You get 10 basic things. There's representation on the board to help shape the way forward, increasing the education and awareness around what we do, readiness from a regulatory perspective, so working with the various stakeholders. We're trying to incorporate a lot of technology, bringing in QR codes. So once that's ready to deploy, you can use that. A platform to engage recyclers and network. Circular economy, design, a lot of different things, as you can see here, that you can benefit from as you join on board with Kepro. So next slide. That's who we are. That's where we come from. Sorry, I had some problems with the technology. I couldn't see what you were seeing, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Another round of applause for him, please. I want us to do something good for PRI, and 3 times they've been trying to launch this organization, and today they're successful. So take out your phones, everybody. Head over to Twitter. Search Kepro_KE. Are we there? Kepro_KE. hit follow. And when you scroll like 3 tweets down, you'll see Mushai's tweet. And he's used the hashtag striving for sustainability. So drop your tweet also and use the hashtag striving for sustainability. Brianna and the team will tell us if the followers are rising. Kepro_KE. Thank you very much. As we do that, I'd like us to also focus on the screen. We want to play a short video on the process of recycling. Recycling waste and having a circular economy without involving the recyclers themselves. They are the ones who walk in this shoe every single day, and it would be really prudent to hear from them. Up next on stage is Richard Kainika, who's the chairperson of the Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers. Richard, please come on stage and talk to us about Kenya's readiness for the informal and formal waste.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Our Honorable PS, Dr. Chris Kepro, and Ambassador Peter Kaberia, the DG Naiwan, the Chairman, CAM, Mr. Mushai Kuniha, and the Deputy Governor, Kitui County, all guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Richard Kainika. I work at Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers, and I'm happy to be here. Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers is the business membership organization for the private sector industry involved in material recovery from waste. These include and is not limited to retrieval of materials from waste, repair, refurbishment, recycling, remanufacturing, composting, power generation, or any other initiative aimed at extracting value from materials that would otherwise have been discarded as waste. Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers was registered in the year 2017 under the Section 10 of the Societies Act in Kenya. We register our membership from entities that fall under the recycling value chain as follows: converters, these are the manufacturers of finished products from materials that are wholly or partly derived from waste. We also have value addition in 3 categories. We also have traders. We have aggregators. And lastly, we have waste pickers. These are the CBOs, the garbage service providers. And these are the primary sourcing category and the lowest tier in our value chain. We appreciate the inclusive approach employed by the government through the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. The ongoing legislation that touches on our industry, namely the Sustainable Waste Management Bill policy, and also the extended producer responsibility regulations. And as we witness this great occasion today, the recycling fraternity in Kenya can indeed confirm that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And with confidence, declare this to be a time of turnaround for the waste management and recycling industry in Kenya. This could not have been possible without the wise guidance and exemplary desire for sustainable environment by the government for our country. To the industry and private sector leaders led by CAM and KEPSA, we have seen your undivided resolve, moving ahead of legislation to do what it takes for the good of our greater environment, knowing that sustainability precedes profits, that posterity may look at us with pride and honor. As we usher in Kepro, we would like to draw your attention to some important issues that, if addressed, could make this journey successful and easy for us all. The first one is that the recycling value chain needs to be recognized and adopted and appreciated. This is to enable the PRO, like Kepro, as well as the enforcement agencies, to have a deep understanding of how they operate, as well as best articulate the mandated laws by the regulations like enhanced collaboration with stakeholders and the material flow analysis. Number two, the market is not enough for the recycled materials. The PRO must incentivize the manufacturers to begin real sourcing from the recyclers. It would be effort in futility to correct what is not accepted by the market. Some common materials have very low demand. If difficulties abide, we must quickly consider eco-designing the packaging to more acceptable and recyclable materials. Number three, over 80% of recycling happens in the informal sector. Being an industry longly associated with poor hygiene, crime, and even substance abuse, most investments start off as micro enterprises, and as such, fall short of most compliance requirements. KAWR calls for these critical budding enterprises to be accepted, where it employs and sustains a huge population to live above the international $2 a day income. We call for ingenuity as we embrace them. The PRO is the bridge upon which these micro actors can be transformed into recycling corporates and moguls. Let us gradually walk them towards compliance, because we have what they lack as finances, and they have what we lack as waste volumes. Number four, the Waste Act of 2019 incentives on plastic recycling should be activated and broadened to exempt recovered materials from VAT. It is common knowledge that the packaging industry pays tax, like from materials import point to the retail point. It is therefore not difficult to allow for the collected and processed waste to go without being taxed, for the same has been paid for during its consumer stage. This is an achievable goal that, if granted, can catapult the collection rates from led to above 20%, leaving a huge positive impact on our environment. As key stakeholders in the sector, we want to assure you of our devoted support towards the ministry's endeavor in the achievement of a circular economy, realizing the need of industrial symbiosis through the application of sustainable waste management practices, through the knowledge that recycling fosters circularity, sustainable production, and sustainable environment. To KAM and Kepro, we salute you for accepting us. We are grateful that you could give us a place in your governing organ. Together with the other stakeholders, Kepro will soar to set the pace for others in Africa and the world. Mr. Prien and the entire Kepro board and team, nothing is impossible to those who work in unity. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Richard. Those are very, very important points that you've raised. And I've just checked Kepro's Twitter from 61 to 75 followers. Give yourself a round of applause. Brian is smiling under his mask. Exactly, we've seen the smile. Now, let's check out your phones again. Because people must know that we're here and we've launched an organization. Take a selfie. I'm really envious of Mushai and Phyllis. They're sitting next to me, you know. Take a selfie with your neighbor. Yeah, that's your neighbor. That's him. I was really hoping somebody would come and take one with me, but it's okay. Okay, go to Twitter. We've had almost 4 speakers up here. So what's your takeaway from all the 4 speakers? Put a quote there, hashtag striving for sustainability. Let's see who was paying attention. As we keep tweeting, we want to invite our next guest on stage. But before we do that, we also just want to test how much knowledge we have in terms of the circular economy and how it's doing. Priyan mentioned that Europe is doing extremely well at this. So we want to do a little bit of a test and see how much we know. So anyone who can take a wild guess, which country, a clue it's in Europe, is leading in recycling its waste and championing for, it's him living, no he's not. Championing for a circular economy. Who wants to try?
Norway.
Oh, okay, Norway, we have Norway here. Denmark. Another try? Germany. A round of applause for Priyan. My notes when you were up there. Germany leads at 56.1%. Now, before we invite our next speaker on stage, there's a certain country in 2016 that embarked on an ambitious plan to ensure that by 2050, it would have gone rather 100%. It would have moved from linear economy to recycler economy to a circular economy. Anybody want to take a guess? Denmark, he is correct. And on that note, he knew. So, pat yourself on the back. There we go. So we want to invite our next speaker on stage, Confederation of the Danish Industries East Africa, to tell us more about the importance of collaboration in promoting a circular economy. It was you? Okay, now give him a round of applause. Yes.
Morning again. We're good? Yes, perfect. Looking at the blind spots that you were facing, Brian, maybe I can help you get some help in the back of the slides. Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, today is truly, it is a big day. And I think maybe the tagline should be, we're finally here, right? It's been a long journey, but at the same time, it's been incredibly short because like Brian said, only in 2018 was when some of you stakeholders in the room visited Denmark for the first time to look into Kepro systems, circular economy, business models, etc. 3 years later, you're already here. You're launching today a Kepro for waste, for a number of waste streams. This is incredible. I mean, our own timeline in Denmark is 2025 for launching a PRO for plastics. So on that note, props to you key stakeholders in the room. That's amazing. Give yourselves a moment. Can we get the next slide, please? I just want to say a few words about the journey that we're currently on in Denmark, and that we're collaborating with Cameron and our stakeholders in Kenya. If you go to the next one, please. When you think about it, circular economy is nothing new. We've known about cradle-to-cradle systems since the 70s, right? I think the big difference is now circular economy has gone mainstream. It's becoming sustainability paradigm 2.0, which is incredible that we had the launch of the Paris Agreement only 6 years ago, and now it's like circular economy is taken over, and it's on par with the SDGs when you hear about the hype about circular economy. So it's an incredible mainstreaming we're witnessing these years across the world around circular economy. And what is it exactly? It's economy. It's about growth at the end of the day. This is not about being good citizens, only about environment. It's also about business. So it's about the business models that are the foundation of this. Next slide, please. I think you all know the figure on the right-hand side. That's the famous butterfly paradigm from the MacArthur Foundation that really captures what is the circular economy in one shot. This is an incredible illustration to show what we're all trying to work with, what we're trying to achieve. It's too small to pick up the details, but just that it's captured in the shape of a butterfly also is very telling, I think. What happened in 2015 for us was that the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they chose Denmark to be the first test country to go and look at how can an entire economy go circular in a short time span. And they chose Denmark because we are a tiny economy of only 6 million people. It's mainly on an island. So it's a good laboratory basically to do this. So we've been very busy the past 6 years mainstreaming circular economy. Next slide, please. This pretty much sums up what we're trying to do. That if you look at the total emissions in the world, science is telling us that 55% you can eliminate by transitioning into renewable energy sources, but 45% has to come from circular models. That is a bit daunting, that this is what we're left with, where the renewable energy sources can only get us that far. The rest is actually up to us to deliver in terms of consumption, production, and supply chains. Next, please. In 2018, we finally got our national strategy for circular economy together. And what it does is it establishes the future playing field of what we're trying to do. And by creating a national strategy, we know that everybody's committed, everybody's on board, ministries, CSOs, including the consumers. because at the end of the day, it's the consumers that are driving this. Because if they don't buy the products that are based on a circular business model, we're getting nowhere, right, basically. So let me just, next please, give you a few examples of why or the future playing field I'm talking about. Well, what does it consist of in our view? Well, the first one is to realize that the private sector has a huge responsibility. We're looking at the multinationals like Coca-Cola, Unilever. They've been the first ones really embarking on the circular economy journey, but they can do it because they control their own supply chains. But what about the 90% of the other companies, the SMEs that depend on the larger ones? Until we get the SMEs on board this agenda, we're not going to get very far, to be honest. So that's the first realization we came upon in this work. Next, please. I said private sector, but at the same time, I totally agree with the tagline of Kepro, collaboration, commitment, and circular economy, because it has to come in hand with the government as a public-private partnership. In 2019, we came up with a new model for our public-private partnership. We call it the climate partnerships. In essence, it's a model where we created the largest brainstorm in history in our country and invited the private sector in from different subsectors to get all their recommendations, input to why we're not delivering the way we should on the SDGs in our subsector. Waste is one of them. And with recommendations, I mean, the private sector, the one who know, they know what kind of technology we have. They know what the investments needs are. The government then has to respond with the proper policy adoption. And what comes out of this very intense brainstorm, just within a year for us, was a very ambitious waste strategy. And you can see by 2030, we said it will be the leading circular economy in the world. And we are still aiming for climate neutrality in 2050 as a nation. And below that, we said for waste, okay, for 2030, let's do 90%, reuse all of our waste. And this is not just empty figures. This is something we can do because the consumer mindset is present, the government is on board, the private sector is on board. So now we're making amazing strides because we had the national strategy, and now we can then roll it out. So we're truly speeding up this area. Next, please. I think this has been repeated today a couple of times, but what does it take to actually run a proper market for waste and recycled raw materials? It's a lot to do about harmonization, the standards for how we collect the waste. It has to be unified. We cannot have different standards across the board. At the same time, how do you create a level playing field? Something we're struggling with is to say, why does the municipal waste has to be done by communities, or sorry, by municipalities? Why can't it be done by the private sector? This is very contentious to suggest that, can we privatize waste treatment? It's massively contentious, but perhaps it's the way we should go to truly make this work. We haven't done it yet, but it's in our strategy to try and do it. We'll see if we get there. Next, please. The design, I think we can all agree, that is key in this endeavor. We have to design our waste, basically, in what we do. So I think I'll just go through this quickly because I think there's nobody in the room can disagree with this statement, right? So next, please. Digitization. I mean, this is a beast we all have to work with and actually profit from. Big data is becoming big business. We now see that stock exchanges are being set up to trade big data. From our digital economy, we've got numerous data sets lying around. Some of them are unfiltered, not really usable, but the minute you start structuring large data sets, they become incredibly valuable. Just think about traffic data, for example. So what we're setting now up is a stock exchange in Copenhagen for big data. And that falls under circular economy because we're reusing the data. And the data has a tremendous value. So this is one of the big areas we're looking into now that can really disrupt and kick off a circular economy. Next, please. Just a final example. The building and construction sector is one of the sectors where we see the largest emissions, right? And as a small exporting economy, we're focusing a lot on this sector from a circular economy perspective. How do we change our mindset around demolition, for example? Why do we tear down skyscrapers? Why don't we do a selective demolition where we take out the bits and reuse them? And that comes back to we have to design the disassembly. We cannot do high rises anymore. That is a one-time use thing. We have to be able to take down the window frames, the doors, and the bricks and reuse them. So now we're introducing at European level, even building material passports. So imagine like a chip we insert into the brick, so you can follow the lifetimes of a certain brick as it goes into being used in one building into the next. And this is all digital because back to your QR code, right? It's like you can track the lifetime and the path of the given material. And we wanted to have multiple lifetimes. So this is changing the building industry completely these days. I think I'll end on this. I'm just very excited about what you've achieved today with launch of the Kepro, and we can't wait for the Danish industry's perspective and the Danish government to support you in the next process also around circular economy. So that's some things. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Before we invite our next speaker on stage, we have a very brief video that we'd like you to watch on what has been the impact of Kepro on businesses. Eyes on the screen, please.
My name is Vanita Halai, and I'm owner of Vince Plastics Limited. And I have been running this company for past 10 to 11 years. It is the cleanliness and then protecting our own environment, ending up all these things going to the landfills. Yeah, we should avoid that. Yes, I have almost 200 people working with me. Yeah, with the sorting and the drivers and all. I always love to empower a woman. I don't want them to end up somewhere else. Yeah, when they don't have jobs, they should be doing something like this. Yeah, I always encourage them.
Nimejoin hapa Vince last year mwezi wa 11. Up to now bado niko hapa hivi nafanya. But naipenda ndio maana niko hapa hata kama ni ngumu. Nang'ang'ana nayo job. Unajua kukaa idle. Afadhali ukaa mfanye kitu kidogo yenye unaweza pata. Sasa ndio maana niko hapa naipenda sana.
Huwa tunaleta takataka hapa ili tusaidike. Kwa siku mbili tunaweza okota 240. Kama hii 240 tulikuwa watu 3. Tunaokota huku kwa dustbin zile zinatupangwa matakataka ama huko kwa mto. Kikundi yetu inaitwa New Genesis. Hatuko vikundi tofauti.
Working with Kepro has helped us a lot. We have created more jobs within the communities and all. We started this policing with the Kepro. Yeah, before we were just doing the hard plastics. In a day, we almost buy 20 to 25 tons and we want to go for more. That's why we are setting up another line. Yeah, so that people can get more jobs and all.
Vinita is here. Vinita, before we usher in Mushai, just a minute. Mushai will be coming in to talk about the lessons. So as someone who works in the industry, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in doing this business so far? Go ahead. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned in this business?
You have to work hard.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Morning. So we are a sister company. My company called Rins Industry in Mombasa is based. So we are partners. And what I will say, I'm new in the field, but I do promote plastic-free product though. So this is a chain of empowerment. I think we have learned from the ground of the need in a different community area, plus empowering each and every area. I wouldn't say it's only with plastic, but remember, we are creating job out there, cleaning the landfills, right? And also looking forward to bright future and cleaner environment. That's where we all came together, and that's what I want to edit to when it does comment. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's nice to see that these efforts are going beyond Nairobi. They're in Mombasa, and soon they'll be countrywide. Moshai, your time to address this. Yeah, that one.
Good morning, everyone. This is the right one. Wrong one.
No, he's kidding.
Okay. So glad to be here and see you all this morning. Special thanks to our special guest from Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Environment, representing the COG, and of course the Kepro board and so on. So like you've heard, I think this has been a long journey. I remember starting this because of Sachin. One of Sachin is who got me into this area a couple of years ago when I was actually heading the KM Legal and Regulatory Board. And you remember there was a plastics bag ban. If you remember those days, a while ago, and we did a lot of work around that. And I think from the lessons we learned there, one of the challenges we got then from government was that we talk a lot, but we don't do much. We're just talking about it. What are you going to do about it? So we said, okay, let's start doing something about it. And that's where I think Petco came from, and actions like this that we have done. So it's been a good journey, and I'm glad that we've actually made it this far and made it here, and hoping to go forward. I want to thank firstly also some of the people in here who've done a lot of work to get us here. The Kepro board, led by Priyan, and I think before that we had the Kenya Plastics Action Plan team. They've spent many hours at KEM boardrooms or on Zoom rooms now, trying to work these things out. So it takes quite a lot of time to get this done. So thank you very much to the Kepro board. I know they've been working pretty regularly. As well, the Ministry of Environment, Dr. Ayuba, how many meetings have we been in? Several meetings in the Plastics Action Plan and so on, with the NEMA people and so on. So we spent quite a lot of time engaging. And I think you'll see one of the key issues there is collaboration. I think is one of the things we're saying. Collaboration is the way we're going to get around these issues that we have. Of course, we have our partner associations from the wastewater, is it the waste recyclers, the water bottlers, Retrack, Petco, of course, themselves. We spent quite a lot of time with them developing all of this work. And I think maybe not represented here, but we've worked with a couple of NGOs as well. The UNEP as well, we've engaged with around this. So it's working with many bodies to try and get things going. And of course, the Kingdom of Denmark and Danish Industries. I like to say that was one, when we were in a meeting room in that beautiful building of Danish Industries after we had gone for this trip. And we said, we are here on benchmarking, but we are not going to have a usual benchmarking trip for Kenyans. Ours is actually going to count. Something is going to happen out of this. And I remember taking a taxi ride with Priyan after that to the airport, and we said, we can make this happen. Why not? We can make it happen. So I'm glad to see that it has actually happened after all those years and all the work that we did then. Now, we've been committed to sustainability for a while, like Phyllis mentioned, and it's something that we're going to continue doing as we go along. Because the evidence now is clear globally, locally, that we can't continue the way we are going. The world has limited resources or even natural laws that say if you don't do certain things or if you do certain things, there will be certain consequences. So we accept the science. We can see global warming. We have challenges of forest cover, and thank you, yes, Kepro and Ministry have been working on reforestation. That's one of our issues. We've seen what is happening to our environment as we lose forest cover. And of course, there's pollution, because one of the biggest challenges we get with plastic is actually the pollution. That's our biggest challenges in Kenya that we've seen that we need to deal with. So that's a big problem. And we have to see that as a challenge to which we are all responsible, both for causing and for solving. So we need to participate on both sides of that. But on the other hand, I think, and Klaus mentioned it a bit, we have an economic challenge as well. And as a country, our economic challenge is huge. We have 60% of our population is below the age of 24, right? Probably, yeah, just about 60%. And these are people starting to work, getting into the workplace and to the workforce, and they need jobs. They're going to need to work. Where are these jobs going to come from? Agriculture or industry? If we look at other statistics, 31% of Kenyans live below the poverty line. That's about $1.90, $2 a day is what they're able to spend. 84% of Kenyans live below $5.50. That's about $600 per day expenditure. That's what they live. So what you just had for breakfast, they live on a day. That's 84% of Kenyans. That's not something that is sustainable either, say, for our country. And those Kenyans also deserve a better life. We are going to have to produce for them. They are going to need to eat better, sleep better, live better. And that is going to require that we produce more. We're going to have to produce more. So even the challenge Priyan gave us there for waste, it's going to increase because people are going to produce more. If these guys, if their living standard rises, they're going to eat more, they're going to use more resources. So we have to plan for it. It's not just going to happen by itself, because what we don't want is to have a Mount Dandora. If that goes, you know, if our per capita income grows and we are raising more waste and we are putting it up there, we'll get a mountain, right? What can we do around that we must do? So what we must do is balance our economic growth and our economic challenges that we must address, plus sustainability. And the thing about things like the circular economy and what we have, it gives us new routes, new opportunities to create new business models, new economic models that are actually going to help us develop prosperity for our people while also improving our environment and growing. In fact, we should improve our environment, not just maintain our environment, but keeping it better. And we've seen some of the examples. We saw there the video on Vince. We've got many other videos. Probably if you follow the Kepro or even our camp sustainability lines, you'll see a lot of people. We are actually creating both the jobs and the uses for those materials that can help us grow our economy even better. Now, this is a journey, and it's a collaborative journey. So what we decided when we were in Denmark, we said it can be private sector led. Because when we went to the West Bank, we were led by regulators, NGOs, public outreach. Let's call it public outreach. But we said, why don't we be responsible private sector? We can lead this. We can start these conversations. And the important thing is to converse with everybody, get everybody's views, get a common understanding, and then start action in what we're doing. So it's private sector led, but we're saying engage all stakeholders. And we are thankful for government. They've been working with us. We've had good conversations on even things like EPR regulations. We talked about the waste management bill. There are things that must be regulated, but then there are other things that the private sector must partake in. We've worked with people like GreenTrack and Petco as well on consumer education, because at the end of the day, it's the consumers who also must start changing behavior and some of the things that we do so that we can get a sustainable environment. So glad to be here. Congratulations, the word I'm trying to say. Congratulations to Kepro for getting there. But again, a challenge for us as Kepro, CAM for manufacturers, this is just the beginning. We are launching now. We've done some things, but we have a long way to go. We saw the targets, like we saw that Denmark has good targets. We're going to need to generate our own targets. We're going to need to do a lot more work. So it is the beginning. And of course, if you don't start the journey, you will never get to the destination. So congratulations for the start. Let's get working. Thank you very much.
Well, on that note, we want to invite Dr. Catherine Mbiasi on stage. She is the AG Director for Environmental Studies at NEMA. Dr. Catherine? A round of applause for Dr. Catherine.
Thank you so much. I shall say, my name is Catherine Mbiasi. I am the acting deputy director in charge of environmental education and awareness in NEMA. I am here representing the Director General, who was supposed to be here, but because of some urgent work assignment, he is not here. But I'll be here. I'll be able to give you his message. But before I do that, I want to say that I'm pleased to be here on my own behalf to participate in this launch. I think that it is something that we've been talking about, something that we've been expecting, to be able to a larger extent, to address some of the issues that we've been facing, even as we regulate the issues of waste management. So I just want to congratulate CAM and all the stakeholders and everybody who has taken part and who has contributed to make this event come true. But as you start, I think it is the first, and we expect a lot. We will work with you to be able to see that it succeeds. And so with that, I just want to read the Director General's message. Our chief guest, who is our PS, and all the invited guests. It gives me pleasure to join you at this launch of the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization and its board of directors. As we are all aware, the right to a clean and healthy environment is enshrined in the Constitution of Article 42, which states that every person has a right to a clean and healthy environment, which also includes the right to have the environment protected for the benefit of present and future generations. And this is done through legislative and other measures
but also it gives every person a duty to cooperate with state organs and other persons to protect and conserve the environment and ensure ecologically sustainable development and use of natural resources. Therefore, the launch of Kepro we are witnessing today aims at putting in place such structures to enable us achieve and uphold this right, which requires concerted efforts by all stakeholders. Our chief guest, NEMA's role is the principal instrument as the principal instrument of government is mandated to exercise general supervision and coordination of all matters environment and to implement all government policies relating to the environment. In order to achieve this, NEMA works with stakeholders and lead agencies in bettering the environment through development of regulations, strategies, and guidelines. And these guidelines have been instrumental in managing the environment and they include such as the environmental impact assessment and other regulations, which you are all, I believe you're all aware of, the air quality regulations, just to ensure that the projects that we come up with address all issues of air so that we can have a clean air or clean air, water quality regulations, we have wetlands regulations, we have controlled substances regulations, we have waste management regulations, we have noise, and all these are to ensure that we are able to enjoy a cleaner environment. And today, we have the extended producer regulations as draft, which we believe that they are going to address some of the issues that we are experiencing as a nation. So as a country, we are gearing towards achieving the circular economy by introducing these regulations. As you may know, this is the first regulations that have been, I don't know whether they are the first, but I want to say that these regulations have been largely been led by the private sector, as Mr. Muchai, the former speaker, has just said. CAM has been on the forefront in developing these regulations. And so we expect that this spirit will continue through the sector and that other members will join in the implementation of these regulations because they are for our own good. So we are expecting that we get support from other members who may not be in CAM, but once the regulations come into force, we believe that they'll also be part and parcel of the implementation of the same. As you are all aware, NEMA for the last 4 years have been implementing the ban on the plastic. You remember that in 2017, which also the former speaker just alluded to, we had the plastic ban. And one of the things that we have been doing as the authority is to clear industries or organizations for the use of the industrial packaging. But as we have been doing that, one of the main challenges has been how do we manage the plastics that we have cleared to use. The post-consumer stage, we've cleared, yes, but that bit of after use, end of use, has been a bit of challenge. In this regard, therefore, we urge CAM and all the members and everybody else to ensure that these regulations or this organization will support or will help in a large extent to manage such kind of waste that have been cleared because they are serving a key purpose, but we do not want them to be a menace again.
because then it will not achieve the goal or the aim of the regulations. Therefore, these regulations on the extended producer, we will see that we are going to address or to have environmentally friendly products with less harm to the environment, and will also ease recycling and therefore also promote the circular economy. These regulations will drastically or to a large extent reduce pollution of our water resources and also promote the blue economy. In implementing these regulations, we'll ensure that the products or we promote reusing, recycling, and refurbishing facilities, and therefore create green jobs. It's my belief that the establishment of this producer responsibility organization is a milestone in ensuring proper take-back schemes to be put in place. I therefore urge CAM and its members that as you launch this organization, let us pool our efforts and ensure that it lives to its purpose. The authority looks forward to the operation of Kepro so that its contribution to pollution reduction is evident not on paper, but on the ground. Our chief guests allow me to state that the implementation of all the regulations in the waste value chain in Kenya has been successful, but with its fair challenges. In our regulatory mandate, we have encountered 3 categories of the regulated community. We have the compliant community who are ready to comply. And I think many members of CAM are in this category who are willing and ready to comply, respecting the rule of law, and incorporating the issues of environmental consideration in their operations. But they only form a small community. They just form a small number of all the regulated people we work with. Then we have others, the second category, the reactive people or community. These are facilities or organizations that will only comply by some form of enforcement. And this, unfortunately, make the larger majority. Then we have the non-compliant. They will not comply, and that's when we come in with enforcement actions. We want to urge everybody to embrace compliance to the law so that we can work in a harmonious way. When businesses are built mainly on economic gains and not necessarily on environmental benefits, compliance is perceived as a cost to production, and the environment becomes a casualty. We must therefore have a different view on compliance, where compliance is seen as a win-win situation, looked at from a resource efficiency and cleaner production perspective, remembering that waste is raw material not utilized 100%. I'm glad to report that CAM and EMA have been working closely, and we hope to change the narrative so that we can have a clean and healthy environment for all Kenyans. And this initiative today is a testimony that our commitment to work together towards achieving a circular or sustainable circular economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've just come out of, or not really come out, but we are still in the season of celebrating World Environment Day. And on 1st of March 2019, the UN General Assembly declared the years 2021 to 2030 as the UN decade on ecosystem restoration. These are 10 years that scientists have indicated that matter most in preventing catastrophic climate change and bending the curve on biodiversity loss. And what I would just want to say here is that as we then launch this organization, it is in line with the decade for the ecosystem restoration, because ecosystem restoration is not just about planting trees, but it's for such actions that this organization seeks to carry out, ensuring that we manage our waste properly so that this waste does not end up in the environment, in our rivers, in our oceans, in our lakes. And that way, we will be restoring our degraded ecosystems. And therefore, NEMA is committed to work with all the stakeholders, to work with CAM, to work with Kepro, to support them even in the regulatory process to ensure that this organization succeeds. Because once it succeeds, it's going to set a pace for any other producer responsibility organizations that comes after. And this will really help in managing the pollution issues that we all encounter in our day-to-day lives. Thank you all. Thank you very much, Dr. Catherine. Now, if you remember, Brian mentioned that waste in Nairobi is just 3,000 tons, but when you aggregate the whole country, we are about 20,000 tons. And that's why it's important that this conversation trickles down beyond Nairobi to the county regions. And that's why our next guest, Dr. Wadenzao, the Deputy Governor, Kitui County, will be coming up here to talk to us about efforts that they are putting at county level to ensure that a circular economy comes to life. Dr. Wadenzao.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Wadenzao, Deputy Governor, Kitui County. I'm standing before you representing the Council of Governors, Chairman, in charge of trade and industrialization, who is my leader, Her Excellency Charity Kaluki. I hope members, as we launch this organization today, on behalf of our chief guest, I convey heartfelt greetings from Her Excellency the Governor Kitui. Thank you. I'll go straight to read a written speech for this occasion. These are the remarks by Her Excellency Charity Kaluki, Governor of Kitui County, who is the chairperson of the Council of Governors Technical Committee on Trade and Industrialization. During the launch of the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization, in abbreviation Kepro, today on the 9th, Wednesday, June 2021. Our chief guest, Dr. Chris Kepro, who is the Principal Secretary of the State Department of Environment and Forestry. Our Principal Secretary on Department of Industrialization, Ambassador Peter Kaberia.
Ambassador of Denmark to Kenya, Your Excellency Meta Kutsin, Chairman of Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Wanamchai Kunyia, our Chief Executive of KM, our Chief Executive of KM, Phyllis Wakianga, Chairperson of Kepro, Priyan Tana, Director General of NEMA, I've seen the representative here, Wana Mamo, Chairperson of the Environment and the Sustainability Committee on KM, Dr. Isa Kalua, not seen Kalua, okay, in absentia, has been recognized by Her Excellency, and he is a man from my county. Thank you. Distinguished committee chairpersons and members of KM, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to represent the governor of Kitui County, Her Excellency Charity Kalukingilu, who is the chairperson of the Trade and Industrialization Committee at the Council of Governors, has been requested by the chairperson of the council to represent the Council of Governors at this very important forum. Due to the commitments that they had earlier made in their respective counties, neither of the chairpersons was able to attend this function. That is why they have sent me to represent them. So feel their presence through me. I wish to thank the entire fraternity of Kenya Association of Manufacturers, through the Chief Executive and the Chairperson, for the organizing this official launch of Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization, Kepro, and for inviting us as the Council of Governors to be present during this launch. We congratulate the KM for the great initiative on a Kenya Plastic Action Plan, which led to the birth of Kepro. This is a major milestone in your collective work to address the issues of resources and waste management, which is itself a hallmark of great corporate citizenship. I don't know if I would be contradicting anybody if I said that the Kenya Association of Manufacturers has been an extremely responsible private sector partner to the government of Kenya. The Ministries of Industrialization and Environment, as well as NEMA, are represented here, and I'm sure they can bear me witness on this. It is because of KM's great sense of corporate responsibility that the members have founded Kepro. To support the manufacturers' collective effort and realization of commitments made in Kenya Plastic Action Plan. The Plastic Action Plan was itself an exemplary initiative to address the monumental problem of plastic waste management in the country. On the back of this action plan, today's launch of Kepro comes as a more long-term, holistic, and industrialized approach to managing resources and the waste that comes from our production and our consumption. On this very important matter, KM has led from the front. Congratulations. In the Council of Governors, we are aware that one of your ambitions, which is our vision 2, is to make the environment a critical part of our national consciousness, so that everyone sees environmental restoration as a personal, as institutional, and organizational responsibility. This is a statement which was made in November 2019 by the former chairman of KM during the launch of Kenya Plastic Action Plan. This big ambition calls for wider partnerships and a more extensive framework
of collaboration between the industry, the consumers, the national and the county governments. This is something which the county governments, in their collective, will be more than willing to partner with you on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that all manufacturing and consumption in this republic takes place within counties. Therefore, our county governments have an important role and responsibility to support and collaborate with KM in their effort to implement extended producers' responsibility schemes throughout the country. I therefore wish to appeal to KM and your partners to make an outreach to county governments to help create awareness on this initiative and also called circular economies. Creating awareness on this will make county governments more resourceful partners in the effort to mainstream environmental consciousness in our national and subnational economic activity. With these few remarks, I once again thank and congratulate the Kenya Association of Manufacturers for providing leadership on the critical agenda of waste management and for this launch of the Kenya Extended Producers Responsibility Organization. Congratulations, Nahogera. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wathe. Now, at our event, if you look on your far, you will see that we have a desk set up, and we just want to have a quick chat with them before we invite Ambassador Kaberia to talk to us so that we can see the practical aspect of what we've been talking about the whole day. So we'll begin at Vince Plastic. Introduce yourself properly and maybe what you have here.
My name is Moses Muto from Vince Plastics. And what we have here is from where we start, the recycling chain starts from what we collect from the environment. These are the polythenes, the grinded and washed. These are then processed to produce what we call pellets. The pellets are also what we use to make the plastics, the cups, the plates. These are billet straps, the jugs, the big drums, these jerry cans, and the trays. And in all this, we also process the hard plastics. These are the hot, mitungis, everything, the plastics. So we also make some pellets, which we sell or use to make more plastics. And then in the near future, we have come in contact with an international partner who is willing to share their technology with us. Because currently we are setting up the machinery to help us make this, the tiles. These are the cupboards. We have door frames and the skirting materials. This is what we shall be making in the near future. Thank you.
That was Vince Plastic. So we move over to Plastiki Rafiki. Introduce yourself, what you have.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nyanak Gishia. I work with the International School of Kenya, and within it is housed Plastiki Rafiki, which is a student-led initiative that aims to recycle plastic and create products using creative manufacturing techniques, and in the same time empowering our community through setting up workshops. We have several workshops. One is Mathare in Turkana and even in Watamu that all aim to clean up the environment and make a living. We have some of our products here. Our products are mostly made through injection molding or extrusion. Our machines, we get them through open source designs when we make them in-house in our lab at the International School of Kenya. And I hope you'll get a chance to come and see some of our products. Thank you.
Quick one. What would you say has been your experience working with Kepro, if you have?
Kepro, we've just started working with Kepro. I think at the end of this session, you have there'll be a goodie bag, and we have made some of those goodies ourselves. And it's such a good opportunity to spread the word of plastic graffiti and recycling plastic within Kenya and internationally. And I think Kepro is doing such a good job at that.
Thank you very much. Towards the end of the session, probably we'd like to visit their stand and see what they are offering. Next on stage, we'd like to invite Ambassador Kaberia to give his remarks as we prepare for our chief guest today.
Thank you very much. First one said, hey, so good morning, everyone. Yeah, my friend and brother, our chief guest today, Dr. Chris Kepro, Catherine from National Environmental Management Authority, Yangu Muchai, my friend, my sister, and also a very good friend of mine, Phyllis. Other friends that I'm making today, many that I haven't met before, but I believe we'll be working closely and together, especially the group from Kepro, led by your chairperson, Tana, all your membership and other members of CAM, people from PETCO, people from Ministry of Industrialization, and I believe some from environment. It's a pleasure to be here, really. I had a 15-page speech, but having seen the reaction here, you will allow me to say there isn't much I can say that has not been said or that will not be said by our chief guest. We're both government. I'm a foreign service officer. I read the mood, I read the environment. So you will allow me to just skim through what I have and then leave the bulk of it to our chief guest, because we are both going to speak on the same issue, really. Where is government in all this? For me, really, I pick that the opportunities are galore. We have many, many chances, and these chances will be born from every activity such as this. When a deputy governor from Kitui, I believe that you've seen, if we're talking 20,000 tons, and we've seen what is done by a young people's company there. We've seen what's happening from the International School of Kenya. This is replicable. It's doable. It is so disturbing when you drive around and you see young people sitting by the roadside, and all they're doing is they can tell you which car passed, when it passed, whose car it was, but not much else. We need to get them to understand that in circular economy, we really do have great opportunities. And to those that have come through with this, congratulations, really, really. I have had the privilege or the blessing to travel around the world to work in a lot of places. In over 30 years of service to this republic, I have worked in almost every continent there is in the world. And one thing I have seen is that economies are built from ground up, and many of them are built by small industries, cottage industries, and I believe that we in industry are going to work very closely with CAM, with groups like yourselves, to ensure that we expand this, we make it understandable, we make it appreciable. Let the people in the rural areas also see that this opportunity is not difficult to take. It's not difficult to replicate a lot of what is done here in Nairobi, and it is not expensive. I'm happy to see at one of the companies, we are actually doing what I have seen done in other places. In Brazil, for example, I was in South America for 7 years as ambassador. And during that time, one of the biggest opportunities that I saw them exploit is in the construction industry. They have a program called Minha Casa, Minha Vida, My House, My Life. And in this program, they incorporated activities such as this to try and ensure the sustainability is continued. There are so many other things that I would speak to, but I think to not take so much time repeating what has been said, I would just say that from our industry department or State Department of Industry, we're going to work with you in developing the 10-year green manufacturing roadmap. If I don't say anything else, between us and CAM, we're going to make sure this becomes a reality. Secondly, we are also going to try and ensure that any programs of this nature that you start out there, we're with you, we are part of you. So without much ado, let me just stop there and say, my brother, you will continue with the rest of it. But tomorrow, he and I are off to Mount Kenya area, to Nyambene, my home area. And we're going to launch a program called 1,000 Hours. What we are telling the young people is each of them that volunteer for 1,000 hours on something related to environment, we in industry will take their CVs, will walk around to you guys in industry and say, give this young man a chance. And many more are coming. Dr. Kepro has graciously agreed also to launch Teens for Trees program with us, so that in schools we are able to revive and expand the 4K clubs. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Let's just briefly take some tweets. Apope on Twitter says, let's recycle all the waste products and avoid dumping it anywhere. We are risking our lives and our environment. At Nightna says, we all have a responsibility when it comes to environmental conservation, and this starts with waste management. And when it comes to waste management, Joyce and I have heard this conversation before, segregation and segregation at source. Joyce, we can never say this enough. Why is it important, and how can we segregate at source?
Wow. So from a recycling perspective, when you don't segregate at source, it means that two things. One, you are creating an environment that is undignified for collectors, because that means the material is actually going to be recovered from the dump sites, and that means it's a contaminated area. We should not, as a nation, want to have anyone working within our dump sites. That's one. Number two, the cost of recycling becomes higher because our recyclers are using a lot of energy and water to actually clean the material. And so it's easier if we get it from the households or your businesses when it's clean, and we divert it directly to the recycling plants.
Thank you, Joyce. A question for you. And what are some of the challenges that your country faced when they were putting the model of a circular economy into place?
Since probably aligning stakeholders, just like you're realizing there are many interests at play, and it takes a long time to get everybody aligned, and this is why that we're aiming at 2025 for a PRO on plastics. To be honest, it just takes a lot of time. So that's the key piece: getting people together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll also take another. We'll take another tweet here. And it says, waste management should be at the forefront in fighting pollution, and this should include 5 action, commonly known as the 5 R's before recycling any product. That's refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. That's by Janet Machuka. And maybe we can take just one more tweet before we invite our chief guest. And that's Sylvia Kwamboka, who says, I agree, we should just do the right thing, especially when it comes to disposing the plastic that we use. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come where we give our chief guest an opportunity to talk to us on integrating and implementing circular economy and green growth principles in policy formulation in Kenya. A round of applause for Dr.
The leadership of CAP, led by Chairman, leadership of Kepro, I also see Petco. Yesterday, and all other substance. Good morning. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Hamjambo. I am accompanied by a colleague from the ministry, but I think some of them Dr. Ayi Mashari, who I'm sure is a very familiar face. Okay, so I had to reorganize my timing because there is a presidential event in one of the forests, Ololo, and I know by both of you asking where is the PS, but I have had to excuse myself. I believe my CS will give the explanation. So I want to thank you for inviting me as chief guest for today's event. And yesterday we were talking about, we had a webinar with Kara, and I see Henry is here. We were discussing about the circular economy approach to waste management in Kenya, focusing on opportunities, benefits, and challenges. And I thought it was a great event. I had to leave early, unfortunately, but I believe it went well. I want to say I'm very excited to be here, like Phyllis said, because for 4 years, when the president appointed me to be PS in his government, I was in trade in the ministry where my colleague, Ambassador Kaberia, is. And for those 4 years, we spent a lot of time discussing about business, fair trade practices, looking for exports. And I never ever looked at the aspect of sustainability and the West. So I think it's good that His Excellency gave me the opportunity to come to environment, because for 1 year, 1.5 years, I have had to appreciate the other side of life and to appreciate more about sustainability. The other reason why I'm excited is because I don't think I've had a forum like this since I was transferred to the Ministry of Environment. We have not had a chance to be in a room like this. So the fact that we are here today means something good is happening. COVID has really disrupted the tenets of our economy, our social order, and even the environmental area. And it has brought into fore the issue of unsustainable consumption and production. And that is manifested in the so-called triple planetary crisis, which I believe you all know. The first one is climate change. And this today I will not discuss much about it, but just to say you're all familiar that we submitted our NDC, the National Determined Contribution, last year in December. If you read that report, you will see that we have a big task ahead. For the next 10 years, we will require a lot of resources to deal with climate change. To deal with mitigation alone, we shall require $18 billion. That is like an average of 1.8 trillion Kenya shillings per year. And for adaptation, we shall require $44 billion US, which is an average of $4.4 billion or 440 billion Kenya shillings per year. We also made a commitment in that NDC, unlike the first NDC, this time we said we are going to commit as a government. So 13%, my friend, of that amount of 62 billion has to come from our domestic sources. It means we have to foot the bill. And you can imagine what that means given the fiscal space that we have currently. It means we have to rely more on international partnerships and relying also with private sector. So issues of climate change will continue to be there, and in mitigation sector, the sectors we are going to rely on to deal with mitigation are 6. If you read that report, the industry, which is yourselves, manufacturing sector, agriculture, energy sector, and what we call land use change and forestry. And then which other one? The waste sector, which is the focus for today. So that's the first crisis, climate change. The next crisis is on nature, which is the biodiversity loss. In a short time from now, I think October, will be in Hunan province of China for the 15th conference of parties on the Convention for Biodiversity. And we are discussing about the fact that we have lost a lot, too much loss on biodiversity. And you know, as for Kenya, what we rely on, we are very rich in fauna and flora, but we have lost a lot. There has been much degradation. So I'm happy last week, for some of you followed, we were in Garissa for the World Environment Day, and Pakistan was holding the official celebration. And the UN was launching the decade called Decade for Ecosystem Restoration for the next 10 years. So as we talk of 10 years of NDC implementation, we are talking also of restoration of the ecosystem. They are both related, because if you are dealing with climate change, you will see that you need to address ecosystem restoration. But you are also dealing with biodiversity loss, which requires you address from an ecosystem perspective. So, and I liked what I saw, Pakistan did, if you followed. They launched I think they were celebrating 1 billion achievement of trees after launching a 10 billion tree tsunami. They have called it a 10 billion tree tsunami. So we were being challenged because as we are talking about 2 billion. And 2 billion is just to take us to 10%. Then the global average for forestry cover is 31%. And you're talking about now we are 7%. So it tells you the level of how much we are not forested as a nation. And that even going to 10% is taking us so much effort. 2 billion. Which is why I thought I'm not going to leave this forum before, and I will not talk about the main subject before I make my appeal on this. Phyllis and Kunia, we discussed last week, and I invited you for a webinar. I must admit I missed out on my friend, because actually this is the partner I need to work with. You're in charge of all these companies, all these manufacturing companies. We want you to support us to reach the 2 billion campaign. We have decided to be very realistic. If we call on all Kenyans to come out and plant trees, we have realized it's possible. I have done so many tree planting initiatives, and I don't go for where you go for a ceremony where you just take a picture or one tree. No, a maximum of 50 and above has to be planted by the chief guest. And then we have broken the hour because we do it in 1 hour. And we have seen we have a problem of shortage of seedlings. If we had sufficient and called on all Kenyans, we can just 40 million Kenyans can easily get out there and plant. So we have changed and said, let's do more on seeds. So working with PS Moya and PS Zainab of Correctional Services and PS Education, we are going to distribute seeds to schools, 1,400 schools, and 160 prisons to do mass production of seedlings. Now, they require tubes, and we need some partnership there. And number two, we have also asked for women youth to venture into nature-based enterprises. Let's go into tree nurseries and make money out of it, which is why we're going to Nyambene with my friend here to launch. Also very innovative measures as he has indicated. So we ask youth women to register in an online platform we have at Kenya Forest Service, and we need to guarantee a market for them. So we are trying to set up what we call a tree growing fund, because if we rely on the budget, we get budget cuts all the time, and we need people to be guaranteed of the market. So I wanted to appeal to all of you to join us in this initiative. Equity Bank have already promised, and they have already implemented, they will support us with 35 million seedlings. Absa Bank have said they will support us with 10 million. INF Bank, 5. So already that is almost 30, how many? Almost 50. So, and I'm looking for 1 billion from the private sector. So I leave it to you, Kudia, and the rest. Pledge, even if you give us a few, we don't mind, as long as you can afford. Now that brings me to the third crisis, planetary crisis, which is pollution and waste management. And I think that is the basis for today. I really liked the presentation that I saw here from, I think it was my friend, the PowerPoint presentation you met, Priyan. The waste, you know, I've been getting different figures from IU. Tells me we get 22,000 metric tons per day being generated by Kenyans. Your figure showed 20. That's not too much off. He tells me 60% of that is recyclable. I saw you went to 66. Again, different figures, but not too far off. He tells me 30% of that is recyclable. The 66% is organic. And the balance is what goes to the landfill. What I saw there is that we generate 22,000, or is it in Nairobi that is 3,000? 70 is collected, that is not. Out of the 70, 20 is recycled, the balance disappears. I don't know where it goes to dump sites. So this linear model, coupled with increasing population and the fact that we have low public awareness and weak or poor consumer perception of waste, has resulted in massive environmental pollution by waste. And that is why we have this crisis. But circular economy provides us an opportunity to reverse this trend through the reduction, reuse, and recycling. I've had another R's. But the circular economy really is important because it helps us to have enhanced value extraction from resources. And it can turn economies around by ensuring optimal resource use with minimal demand for virgin raw materials. And therefore, we'll have reduced pollution. I just want to say that I am delighted to be part of the launch of the Kepro, the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization. And I want to thank CAM for having nurtured the establishment of Kepro as the first company designed to become a PRO within the EPR regulations to be enacted or to be gazetted very soon. And this launch comes at an opportune time because we as a ministry have made a lot of milestones in waste management in terms of policy and legislation. The ministry has finalized the sustainable waste management policy and the bill. that were adopted by Cabinet on 25th February this year. We have already gone ahead, my minister has already gone ahead to write a letter for the bill to the AG, who has also forwarded the same to Parliament for enactment. So I encourage you to play an active role to ensure that bill is properly supported by yourselves to make sure we get a good law that will ensure we drive the agenda of waste management. This bill, this policy and bill champion a transition in waste management in what I have just said, from linear to circular. And it implies that waste will no longer be regarded as such, but is now considered valuable, and every effort should be geared towards extracting maximum value from it, and in the process, generate wealth and create jobs. I think yesterday I tried to emphasize, to point out the value chains that will be derived from, that this policy is focusing on ensuring that we derive. The first one will be waste generation at source into various fractions. That means households can sell these fractions and earn income. The second one is material transfer facilities. MRFs receive resegregated waste for further segregation. These MRFs will be managed by local community and will be expected to sell the waste and enhance earn income. Number three, reuse facilities. This is where used items will undergo refurbishment and sold for reuse. The other one is waste transportation. Since waste will be segregated, more vehicles will be engaged for different waste fractions, implying more jobs. Number five is composting facilities, which will receive the organic waste and make organic fertilizer, which then can be sold to farmers. There is also the recycling facilities, which will be expanded to cover every waste stream and supported through extended producer responsibility schemes. They are expected to employ many Kenyans. And finally, sanitary landfill that will be responsible for safe disposal of 5% of waste that cannot be recycled. I was raising this because I know there was somebody who asked in the tweet about the benefits of circularity. And let me now, just as I finish, say that all practices that are not circular have been condemned in the bill, and it will be an offense to fail to sort waste at source, burn waste, transport mixed waste, and accept mixed waste in dump sites. We don't want to see any more Dandoras. All these initiatives are meant to recover as much value as possible from waste. At this point, I want to mention that we have finalized the development of the extended producer responsibility regulations. I think last week we had was it last week or this week? This week, we had a discussion around this, and we have said we have launched 7 days awareness week from 7th June, targeting all private sector producers to sensitize them on the provisions of the regulations. I'm delighted that this launch crowds an awareness on transition to the EPR regime in Kenya. EPR regulations, which form the basis of establishment of Kepro, is premised on the concept of circular economy. The regulations task the producers to rethink how to sustainably manage their products and packaging beyond post-consumer stage. The ministry is championing a theory of change in circular economy and green growth, guided by provisions of flexible frameworks to enable the private sector and other players to be innovative towards green and clean products and practices. For instance, Kepro company is established to implement obligations provided in the EPR regulations, which require investment in circular economy principles as follows. Number one, keeping products, components, and materials at the highest utility and value at all times. Number two, extended product stewardship post-consumer stage. And number three, mapping product life cycle and footprint. Number four, eco-design of products to optimize resource use, durability, reuse, and recycling. Number five is value recovery and retention. And all these have already been mentioned in the presentations made, including eco-labeling to assure quality to consumers, creation of alliances, partnerships, and collaboration between value chain players. and collective governance in management of waste. It is expected that this new framework will give producers an opportunity to develop better green products that will be competitive in Kenya and beyond. In addition, by delineating the value chains, it's expected that each level will create jobs and hence improve livelihoods. I therefore take this opportunity to applaud Kepro for being the first in embracing and actualizing the EPR regulations provisions. That courage has encouraged the industry that establishing a PRO in Kenya is not difficult. I expect that other sectors, as mentioned in Schedule 1 of the EPR regulations, will do a benchmarking with you. I'm aware that you have made a request to the ministry to be allowed to manage several products and packaging under one PRO. It was aluminum, glass, and glass, plastic, and paper. I've been asking my team why we cannot allow you. And I think I'm hoping that we will reach consensus with you very quickly and settle down faster on your preferred product and packaging as per Schedule 1 of the regulations. So let's conclude quickly and then move on. I wish to conclude by urging all producers to join the ministry in championing for operationalization of the circular economy and green growth principles in Kenya. We at the ministry are rooting for a flexible, open-ended approach where players are given space to innovatively transition their products and operations towards circular economy. Our recent policies and legislation on waste management and EPR evidence that the ministry is providing this enabling environment to enable the private sector and other players to chart their course towards green, clean, globally competitive products and services for sustainable waste. So I think I have come to the end of my presentation. I just want to also finish by making one appeal. NEMA just made a presentation here. And all this we are doing is because we are saying the polluter pays principle must apply. But I want to challenge you, private sector. You have weakened us. You weakened the ministry in being able to regulate because you pushed for removal of EIA fees successfully. Until now, NEMA cannot charge any fees for EIA licensing. That has really weakened the regulator. We have an optimal, we are supposed to have 1,500 staff. They are operating below 400. We are supposed to issue a license and follow up through the life of that license. They are unable to do it. I want to plead with you to come back again. Be the champions, because you need a regulator that is going to be strong. And where I am, PS, I used to argue on the other side, and I think I was responsible because I may have supported them. Now I'm on this side. And we realize we really need to support. We need a strong regulator. So this is my plea. I would be happy to have another conversation on the same. Otherwise, next week we are launching a public awareness campaign. We have a ministry team that has been brought on board. We realize we don't have enough public awareness. Most Kenyans don't know. So we are starting with advocacy. First, we have come up with curriculum for journalists. 2 sets of curriculum. I think they will start being trained so that the quality of their journalism can improve and they can then at least inform Kenyans. But number 2 is advocacy. So we'll be calling on a number of you who are good prior and the rest of you. We will call on you, sit in those panels, talk to Kenyans. Kara, I think you'll be part of this, Petco. But Ayub, make use of this team to communicate to Kenyans. We will reach out in various platforms. And I like what you have learned today, the Twitter. I think we will see more of that. And finally, we will be doing publicity. So at that point, we'll come out strongly and be able to discuss. So I think I have talked more because I had to take his time. That's why I've said more. With those many remarks, thank you so much. And I think, what am I supposed to do? Officially declare? Or to launch? Okay, please guide me. Yeah.
While the PS was talking, Twitter caught fire. We are currently trending at #4 on Twitter, and people watching from all over the country, from Nairobi, from Kisumu, and questions are coming in. Someone here is saying PS Kepro is lobbying for the return of the charges. He should give something back in terms of maybe incentives or subsidies. I cannot speak to that. I'm going to bring you the mic.
But the question has to give something back. Something back we shall give is better regulation, which you require to do well as private sector. You need a strong regulator, because when it is strong, all the regulations passed will be properly or effectively implemented, and that will provide a conducive environment for businesses. Thank you. And we will also do a lot of awareness, as I've said. But do you want to support the PS? Can you just allow my...
Please support the PS.
Thank you. Good morning. I support the PS. Definitely, as you have seen in our regulation, the ministry has declared that we don't know much about how to run the technical aspect of running a PRO. It is you people who tell us what is in plastics, for example, and then what kind of incentives do you need? And then you just come to us and with good documentation. Once you convince us, we will take the same document and convince the National Treasury, and you get your incentives. So it is not us to give you, but it is you to propose where it hurts you, so that together we can ask the National Treasury to put the appropriate budget and nurse you properly. Thank you.
A round of applause for you, please. There's also someone on the table who has a very, very interesting school of thought that I think we should all listen to.
Good afternoon. Abogo is my name. I represent the Water Bottlers Association. Bwana Kepro, the request for glasses, plastic, and PET, I will pray that you grant it, because we don't want to, as water bottlers, we don't want to start another PRO. We just want to work with Petco and Kepro. So we'd rather just request that we limit having so many PROs. When we can, we are also ready to work with the two that are there. And with that, from our industry, we can be able to control the way the industry is going. At the moment, the industry is falling because we don't have, we are not able to control the players, but we've been asking if we can work with CAM, Petco, and Kepro, we can be able to self-regulate the industry. So that's our request. Our distribution in terms of membership, we are distributed all over, and we could just pull all that together and bring synergy. Thank you.
They say speak now or forever hold your breath. Any other person who wants to speak while the CS is here, the PS rather? Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Henry Chien from Kara, and I want to appreciate the discussion going on. I want to just emphasize the aspect of consumer education, because all this you are doing, if you don't have consumer educated, then it will count a lot. So please, let's focus on that and give more attention to that. Thank you.
Speaking of consumer education, RETRAC had been mentioned, Petco had been mentioned, but I'd engaged Joyce before. Wambui, what can we do in terms of consumer education to ensure that as much as we are launching this here, the people who we are launching this for are ready to onboard everything that we put out there to them?
Thank you. I think consumer education is key. I think as PS Kepro said, everything comes back to do the consumers know? And then starting with the retailers, we start having conversations of pushing back to the suppliers of are we sustainably packaging the produce so that we are dictating or discussing, let me use the word discussing with the suppliers and the manufacturer, do we want this package like this? How can we do it better for a sustainable environment? Thank you.
We also have Moran on YouTube who said, Plastiki Rafiki, amazing things you guys are doing. A round of applause for them. And finally, because Twitter is an engagement ground where everybody's there, in this room we are all stakeholders and players in the industry, we understand these things. But there's a question here that is asking, what is the benefit of a PRO like Kepro for a business? Priyan?
So the question again is, what is the benefit for a PRO to join Kepro? Sorry, what is the benefit of a business to join Kepro? Well, first of all, it's going to be a legal requirement, so you won't have much of a choice going forward. But essentially, we make your business transaction easier. Through becoming a member, we will channel your funds in the most efficient way through the value system, from collection, segregation, cleaning, separation, and ultimately recycling. We will assist you with design protocols. We will assist you with the education and awareness. So essentially, we're your guiding arm. We let you continue to manage your business while we continue to manage your waste. That's the benefit.
And finally, one more here. Felix Kirathe on Twitter is asking, what is a circular economy? And Moshe?
Thanks. I think I got the easy question. So, like Priyan had showed us before, there was a nice slide. Maybe we should tweet that somewhere so people can see what it is. So in the past, we used to get raw material, make something, you use it, and then you throw it away. That's called a linear economy. You just take something and then you throw it away. In a circular economy, what you aim to do is when you take materials from the environment and create them, you keep them in use for as long as possible. So if you make plastic, plastic comes from oil, which you've extracted from the ground. You keep using that plastic. Rather than just throwing it away, you get it recycled and it is reused again. Either it can be upscaled, used for something higher value or something lower value, but you're keeping the raw materials in use. And that way, you have an economy that does not require new resources to start again. It is using its existing resources, but still being able to grow and expand. Can I be a professor?
That was really good. In another life, you know what career you should pursue. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for has come, and we are ready to launch the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization. I'd like to invite to that stage Phyllis, Mushai, Ambassador Kaberia, PS Kepro, Dr. Catherine, Priyanka, and Dr. Njau. So this is the moment we've been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready for this moment? Let's show some excitement. We've been trying to launch this for 3 times. Are we ready for it? Yes, is the best cheerleader ever. So we want to count this down from 5. Are we ready? Okay, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A round of applause. Officially, the Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization has been launched. Smile for the camera, smile for the pictures. This is a great milestone. Thank you very much.
So it's now declared officially. Picture. For a minute and the seconds, then we have
Extended is an initiative bringing together players in the waste value chain to address post-consumer waste in Kenya. Our aim is to increase national awareness and protect Kenya's natural environment from waste and pollution. Our core values are 1. Collaboration, 2. Commitment, 3. Circularity. Kepro membership benefits include 1. Representation in Kepro board to shape strategy, governance, advocacy. 2. Increase education, awareness, and growth of ethical and sustainable recycling ecosystem and circular economy companies. 3. Readiness for EPR regulatory compliance, reliable NEMA mass flows reporting, and take-back bin locations at retail outlets. 4. Authorized use of Kepro QR code to support compliance, reporting, and sorting. 5. Platform to engage in recycling and recycled product innovation. 6. Platform to engage in circular packaging innovation from design, filling, retail, consumption, collection, sorting, and recycling. 7. Platform to recognize impact activities and innovation to achieve clean environment. 8. Reduce cost and increase yield of recycling due to Kepro source segregation. 9. Access to technical education, best practices, innovation incubator, and sustainable packaging standards. 10. EPR fee based on sector and material fraction to contribute to its recycling capacity growth. Who can sign up for Kepro? All stakeholders in the packaging and recycling value chain can sign up to be a Kepro member, including raw material suppliers, converters, manufacturers, packers, feelers, importers, retail traders, waste collectors, sorters, and recyclers. To sign up, email us on membership@kepro.co.ke to receive information on the registration process and membership fee applicable. Kepro, collaboration, commitment, circular economy. Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization is an initiative bringing together players in the waste value chain to address post-consumer waste in Kenya. Our aim is to increase national awareness and protect Kenya's natural environment from waste and pollution. Our core values are 1. Collaboration, 2. Commitment, 3. Secular Kenya Extended Producer Responsibility Organization is an initiative bringing together players in the waste value chain to address post-consumer waste in Kenya. Our aim is to increase national awareness and protect Kenya's natural environment from waste and pollution. Our core values are 1. Collaboration, 2. Commitment, 3. Secularity. Kepro membership benefits include 1. Representation in Kepro board to shape strategy, governance, advocacy. 2. Increase education, awareness, and growth of ethical and sustainable recycling ecosystem and circular economy companies. 3. Readiness for EPR regulatory compliance, reliable NEMA mass flows reporting, and take-back bin locations at retail outlets. 4. Authorized use of Kepro QR code to support compliance, reporting, and sorting. 5. Platform to engage in recycling and recycled product innovation. 6. Platform to engage in circular packaging innovation from design, filling, retail, consumption, collection, sorting, and recycling. 7. Platform to recognize impact activities and innovation to achieve clean environment. 8. Reduce cost and increase yield of recycling due to Kepro source segregation. 9. Access to technical education, best practices, innovation incubator, and sustainable packaging standards. 10. EPR fee based on sector and material fraction to contribute to its recycling capacity growth. Who can sign up for Kepro? All stakeholders in the packaging and recycling value chain can sign up to be a Kepro member, including raw material suppliers, converters, manufacturers, packers, feelers, importers, retail traders, waste collectors, sorters, and recyclers. To sign up, email us on membership@kepro.co.ke to receive information on the registration process and membership fee applicable. Kepro, collaboration, commitment, circular economy.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're just finishing off now, so we can. Is it afternoon? No, still. Good morning, all. The chief guest, our good friend, Dr. Kepro, and our PS Caveria, and Dr. Zhao, COG, Deputy Governor of Tui County, and the COG representative, and all protocols observed. I just remember about 4 years ago when the first plastic ban came, or about 4 years ago. I think as manufacturers, we saw this as a moment of adversity. It felt like the whole world had come down. We could not even comprehend how we could live in a world without plastic. And fast forward into today, and here we see that adversity is converting into an opportunity. And this is really, I think, where we have seen the transition in this journey, as what Brian just mentioned in his presentation. And this is how we have to all adopt that we are converting an adversity into an opportunity. COVID-19 has brought or fast forwarded some of these needs even more earlier than before. As we see how, as what our PS mentioned, the planetary crisis, the 3 planetary crises are become more and a more urgent issue to deal with. Regarding the opportunities, there's already a lot of other conversations going around. We have a conversation going with the Ministry of Industry and Trade, PS, that where we are seeing the kind of opportunities which are presenting for green manufacturing. About 40 different value chains have been presented, out of which probably around 224 of these opportunities exist here really for people to take opportunities in terms of the circular economy. So I think this is a good time for us to celebrate. As camp, we have midwifed this baby called Kepro. And as our chair said, This is now a journey that is just starting. And we are excited about it. PS, we are also going to take up your challenge of the 2 billion seedlings. We already at CAMP have already been having conversations of how we are going to engage with our members to bring tree planting as one of the main CSR activities for our members. And so we definitely are going to take up your challenge. So with that, Kepro, as they say, one of the missions is collaboration. And I would like to kind of thank the collaborators in this journey, starting with our government partners. PS, Dr. Kepro, our chief guest, State Department of Environment. PS Kabaria, State Department of Industry. Dr. Zhao, Deputy Governor, Kitui County and the Council of Governors representative. Dr. Catherine Baisi, representing NEMA. Dr. Ayub Macharia, Director, Ministry of Environment, and I should also say my golfing buddy. From CAMP leadership, my friend, our chair, Mujai Kunia, and our CEO, Phyllis Vakiaga. From the Danish industry, Klaus Christensen, the regional manager. Kepro board, led by Brian Tanner as the chair, and the entire board who are here today. Our key partners, Joyce Kashugi, country manager, Petco. Richard Kanika, chairperson, Kenya Association of Waste Recyclers. Henry Ochieng, CEO, Kenya Alliance of Resident Association. Henry Kabogo, chairperson, Kenya Water Bottlers Association. Johnston Mulleri, Kenya Flower Council. Daniel Papanos, Takataka Solutions. Wins Plastics, representatives here. Bombui, Barere, Retrack, and all the participants who have joined here, plus who have joined online. Finally, last but not least, as I said that Cam midwifed this baby, Kepro, so I have to recognize our whole team under Phyllis from the Cam Secretariat, Miriam Bomet, Sally Gahiu, Sharon, Rosilda, Faith Chibet, and the entire team of CAMP who have been part and parcel of this whole journey of Kepro. The Kepro Secretariat by Grace Shege and Mumo Isaiah. With that, few thank yous. I wish you all the best, Kepro, in your journey that you're just starting. CAM is always behind you and will support you both spiritually, financially, to an extent, and be always there because, as we said, this is our baby. Thank you all, and God bless you.
The financial part was the most important part. Well, we've come to a close of our program today. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for engaging physically with us. To those who are joining live via Facebook Live, YouTube, and even Zoom, thank you for staying with us since 8 in the morning till now. We're still trending on Twitter. The hashtag to use is striving for sustainability. Go on Twitter, tweet, and remember to follow Kepro_KE. Now, one last thing, as we were launching, somebody asked, where's the confetti? Well, I'm being told they're trying to be environmentally conscious and live the gospel that they preach. And of course, that's just on a light note. Next time, there'll be confetti. Well, this would not have been possible without each and every single one of you, to the partners who partnered with Kepro. Congratulations. And now we can only but wish them the very best. Thank you very much. The event is now closed.
I presume there's still breakfast outside. Enjoy, continue networking.
50 things that change the world, and one of them is plastic.
The challenge of plastics is really the challenge of waste management.
Recycling is a business that pays. It's a business that I would want to start over and over.
What we do is convert this plastic bottle into this t-shirt.